He would rather stand upright. He would rather stand upright. Never kneel to die. This was Long Fei. No matter how amazing you are, I will fight you to the end. From the moment Long Fei unleashed his killing weapon, there was no longer any hesitation in his heart. He wanted to kill the Celestial Emperor. This kind of super big boss would not feel good even if he did not kill Long Fei. Letting the boss go was not merciful. Cruelty to himself. Moreover, it was the type that could be chopped into pieces. Long Fei did not have the tendency to self-abuse, so at this time, he did not retreat. Time is life. The immortal body was definitely a tyrannical body. In less than 5 minutes. Therefore, Long Fei was extremely urgent. He had to find a viable method to kill the Sky Emperor within 5 minutes. Otherwise, there would only be one result waiting for him. God of Heaven madman, no. The level of the Celestial Emperor was too high, it was impossible to see through. There was a limit to the level of Empyrean Gods Berserkers at level 15. It was impossible to kill them. It's most likely a useless attack. Immobilize. This won't do. The level is too high to be fixed. The power of the God's Pavilion is not good either. The difference in levels can only be achieved in an instant. Everything, including the system tools, Long Fei brought out for you. However, it was useless. At the current stage, anything that could cause damage to the Celestial Emperor was nowhere to be seen. Eyes of extinction, yes, eyes of extermination. Long Fei's eyes lit up. The eyes of destruction was a type of ultimate skill. It could ignore levels. Moreover, 50% of the triggers would be fatal. With such a high probability of success, Long Fei did not believe that his luck would be so easy to trigger. What's more, I still have the Great Tao Root. Eye of Destruction, appear. Swish. Long Fei's body instantly shot out 100 meters of the sky, as he faced the Heavenly Emperor's Sword of the Way. He allowed the countless sword shadows to wreak havoc within his body. In any case, if he had an absolute body, he wouldn't die. Pa 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 pa. With the sword light piercing through his body, Long Fei gritted his teeth and endured it, looking at the Sky Emperor with a determined look. Staring at me? What is it? You don't have the ability anymore? Do you think it's so simple? For someone who has judged the Tao and left behind the scriptures, if he angers the heavens and the earth, it is a taboo, and the time of your death is already near. The Heavenly Emperor's words were filled with killing intent. Long Fei ignored them. The current him only wanted to turn the world upside down. As for the Heaven Emperor's so-called heaven and earth forbidden scripture, he had no interest in listening to it. Any taboo was a boast. Departure from the scriptures? Who set the scriptures and who built the Tao? Long Fei didn't care at all. Strength was the foundation of everything. As long as one could defeat it, no matter how powerful they were, it would only be a boss. As long as it exploded. Long Fei did not say a word as he channeled the energy of the Great Way of the Buddha to the extreme. Sky Eye, open. In an instant, a vertical line appeared on Long Fei's forehead. The lines were like lightning, but as scarlet as blood. A little crack appeared. Soon after, a ray of light shot out from within. Swish swish. Boop. With the appearance of this point of light, the sword shadows in the sky instantly disappeared. Or perhaps it could be said that it was directly washed away by the light of the extinction pupil. It was melted. At the same time, the system's voice also came into Long Fei's ears. Ding, the eyes of destruction leveled up, the eyes of destruction. Attribute, extinction description, scanning with divine light, targeted attack, 100% chance of being killed. Notification, upgrade to one-time use skill, Heaven's Eyes disappears. Long Fei listened quietly as the light in his eyes grew colder. Some liver pains. Originally, it was a permanent semi-ultimate skill. However, he never expected that after leveling up, even Heaven's Eyes would disappear and turn into a one-time use skill. But at this time, Long Fei no longer had the time to think it through. The arrow was already on the bow, so he had no choice but to fire it. In front of a boss, there was nothing to be reluctant about. At this moment, the Heavenly Emperor's face was filled with shock. He completely didn't dare believe that his own Emperor's sword would actually be instantly broken once again. Impossible. What method is this? My Emperor's sword controls the heavens and the earth, and kills all the people in the world. You are a person who has judged the Tao. Under this kind of power, you should have nowhere to hide. Why? Why can't I kill you? No, I don't believe it. The Sky Emperor was even more berserk, frantically attacking. The power of the Emperor realm once again surged out. At the same time, the Heavenly Emperor seal appeared once again. The silhouette of an ancient first-generation celestial emperor appeared in the air. It was incomparably savage. We lost. When Long Batian came out, he was as scared as a grandson, and now he even ran out. What's the use of it? Long Fei was disdainful. So what if it was the first-generation ancient Heavenly Emperor? The world-exterminating eyes had already exploded. Who am I afraid of? Bastard, you are really reckless. You said it yourself, that is Long Batian's power. If not for you, Long Batian's figure would have been killed by the Lord of Primal Chaos. What else do you have? What other tricks do you have? My ancestor will definitely kill you. Kill. As he spoke, all of the power of the Emperor bloodline in his body surged into the Heavenly Emperor seal. At the same time, the silhouette of the first-generation Heavenly Emperor in the sky also became more solid. Golden light flickered around his body, and within the golden light, there was inexhaustible savagery. Just like how the sovereign king that controls the celestial emperor is his true life, the Son of Heaven. Crash. Asterisk at this moment, the body of the first-generation Heavenly Emperor moved. It crazily smashed downwards. Instantly, Long Fei felt his entire body being restricted. Even if he did not die, it would be difficult for him to face this kind of pressure. KCHA. Asterisk if you couldn't control your legs, they would twist. Boom. Asterisk all of a sudden, he lost all of his support points and fell from the sky. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Boom. 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 Once again, Long Fei was sent flying. The heck? Long Fei's entire body was in incomparable pain. Under this pressure, he was unable to move at all. It was completely unstoppable. He couldn't hold on at all. Facing the Heavenly Emperor, Long Fei did not even feel this way. But now, he was completely powerless. Not done yet. What's going on? Long Fei endured the pain, his heart anxious. The eyes of destruction had yet to activate. Other than the initial blow, it was still brewing and filling up. But now, even an immortal body only had 3 minutes left. I'm finished. Damn you, system, I'm going to be played to death. Long Fei's heart was in pain, but he had no choice, he could only take it head on. Boom. Asterisk another palm. Long Fei's figure was once again blasted flying. He was in an extremely weak state. Even with the immortal body and absolute tyrant body, it wouldn't be able to withstand the crushing power of this level. Below, the blood veins on Li Yuanbar's eyes were popping up, all of them wanting to attack. Long Fei. Father. Hubby. Boss. Each and every one of them was filled with rage and madness. Long Fei's eyes gradually recovered some color, and after looking over, he said, "Go, leave me alone." Long Fei bellowed, his eyes turning red. The sky eye on his forehead had also been dyed red, as if it had been possessed. At the same time, the system's voice appeared. Ding. Eyes of Destruction has been activated. The destructive power of heaven and earth will explode forth. Player, please pay attention. Open your eyes and kill. Please close your eyes in the dark. Please close your eyes in the dark. Please open your eyes and kill. It was completely a reality version of the werewolf killing. However, the only difference was that with the eruption of the destructive powers of heaven and earth, the entire world turned dark. Absolutely dark. Everything was silent. Even Long Fei was unable to open his eyes. The only thing that could be seen was the heaven's eyes. Swish. He opened his eyes and scanned the skies. The Celestial Emperor, the first-generation Celestial Emperor of ancient times, all sorts of people from the Primal Chaos Mountain. The Lord of the endless primordial chaos was even able to vaguely see them. Lord of the chaos? If we kill the Lord of the chaos, wouldn't that be the end of it? Long Fei's heart was moved. Eyes of extermination, lock onto the Lord of primordial chaos. Long Fei declared with a thought. Ding, the target is not under the night sky, cannot be locked on. Please change the target. A system prompt appeared. Damn, I can't lock onto it yet. Long Fei was somewhat regretful. In comparison, the Lord of Chaos was the biggest boss, and the most deadly one. If it was something that could defeat the Lord of Primal Chaos and casually drop, Long Fei had absolute confidence that he could kill the Sky Emperor in one shot. Unexpectedly, it was not locked. In addition, the Lord of all Fiends was completely unable to lock onto him. Therefore, Long Fei was also worried about whether this world-exterminating eye could kill the Lord of Primal Chaos in an instant. Helpless, he could only take a step back. Lock on. Heavenly Emperor. Long Fei immediately chose the Heavenly Emperor. As for the first-generation Heavenly Emperor from the ancient era, he was simply not a living being. He was merely an energy being summoned by the Heavenly Emperor seal. It was nothing to worry about. As long as they could kill the Celestial Emperor, they wouldn't be able to survive either. Ding. Locked on. Instantly, the sky eye exploded. It directly peeled off Long Fei's forehead. Pain. Unparalleled pain. It was as if it had directly ripped off Long Fei's soul, causing him to almost faint on the spot. But in the end, Long Fei managed to persevere on. Pain was a common occurrence for him. After waking up, Long Fei felt his body and mind relax. He raised his head and looked at the sky eye. Damn. Can you not be so impressive? Long Fei was shocked. He had not expected the sky eye to be so berserk. The power of the silence was still there. In the endless darkness, the sky eye was like a sun. Brilliant heavens. As for the Celestial Emperor, he seemed to be staring at nothing, unable to find the north at all. Moreover, his entire body seemed to have been frozen in mid-air. He was at the mercy of others. While his sick, take his life. This was not the time to hesitate. Long Fei was not a good person either, especially when facing a boss. It was impossible for Long Fei to give the opponent more help. Eye of Destruction, kill. Instantly, Long Fei ordered Traversing Heavens to immediately help him recuperate. The injuries he had suffered from the first Heavenly Emperor's assault were too severe, to the point where he couldn't even make it to Soaring Sky. Suddenly, Long Fei's eyes flashed. His gaze became eager. Until now, there was one thing the system had never used before. Boss level +1. Without any hesitation, Long Fei immediately chose to use it. Ding. Player uses boss level +1 scroll. The boss has leveled up. Current level, Royal Dao Ancient Sun. The system prompted. Long Fei, you also saw the rank of the honored position. Divine beings were already the limits of one's cultivation in an unknown region. He was a supreme existence that was acknowledged by the heavens and earth. Although all living beings shared the same opinion. However, there were differences in strength. 1 for 3. Supreme Realm, Supreme GU, and Dao Sovereign. Earlier, the Celestial Emperor was merely at the peak of the Ancestor Realm. Now, he was the Ancient Emperor. Long Fei was startled, and his heart thumped once. It couldn't be that he had gone too far, right? It was because in the instant that the Heavenly Emperor acted as the Ancient Lord, he made his move. He had broken free from the restraining force of the world's silence. In the distance, the Celestial Emperor regained his freedom. At first, he was stunned, but soon after, he began to laugh maniacally. Ha ha ha, Supreme GU, this Emperor ascended to the Ancient Realm. The heavens are on my side. Long Fei, the current you, doesn't even feel like an ant in front of this Emperor. Sky Emperor Fist, use it. The Heavenly Emperor was extremely arrogant. He did not even consider how his cultivation had broken through in an instant. But his heart did not change. The moment he regained his freedom, they only thought of killing Long Fei. Long Fei did not move, his eyes staring straight at the Sky Emperor. Goo? A punch from the Celestial Emperor arrived in the blink of an eye. In just a blink of an eye, he had already arrived in front of Long Fei. Similarly, Long Fei did not dodge at all. Or perhaps, it could not be avoided. There was no place to hide. Boom. With a single punch, Long Fei was immediately sent flying. Puff. A mouthful of blood sprayed out from Long Fei's mouth, and his entire spirit was dispirited. The power of the Emperor Profound Realm was wreaking havoc non-stop, wildly wreaking havoc on Long Fei's body. Fart. Long Fei clenched his teeth, opened his eyes and looked over. He was waiting. The Eye of Annihilation erupted. He placed all his hopes on this single glance. He had absolute confidence. Even the ultimate killing weapon could heavily injure the Celestial Emperor. After the mutation of the half-dead pupils, Long Fei believed even more that he would definitely be able to kill the other party. Furthermore, this was the rule of the system. Since he was killing with his eyes wide open, how could the destructive powers of heaven and earth disappear if that person didn't die? What was annihilation? The system had never let him down. This time, Long Fei thought the same. And at this time, the world-exterminating eye in the sky completely exploded. Endless destructive force instantly gathered. That pair of eyes was like the center of the world's destruction. It gathered all of the destructive force of the world together and then froze it. Target, Heavenly Emperor. Swish. The eyes of annihilation widened. Shua, shua, shua. The heaven and earth shook, and the power of annihilation flooded in like wildfire. In the instant that it reached the Celestial Emperor, it was instantly annihilated. As for the Celestial Emperor, the madness and excitement on his face had not disappeared. But at this moment, a look of astonishment appeared on his face. His smile froze. It became incomparably panicked. No, what kind of power is this? Long Fei. It's you. What did you do? What is that thing? Get out of my body. Ah, no. The Celestial Emperor roared, his voice hysterical, his entire being jumping up and down in the air like a shrew. The power of the Emperor's Tao continued to erupt from his body, attempting to expel the power of annihilation that permeated his body. However, it was impossible. One breath of time. The four limbs of the Celestial Emperor disintegrated into fine powder. 2 breaths. The Celestial Emperor's body vanished. 3 breaths of time later, the Celestial Emperor's head began to melt. This Emperor isn't willing to accept this. The Heavenly Emperor roared in pain and looked at Long Fei with incomparable hatred. But everything was useless. In the blink of an eye, the head disappeared as well. At the same time, the world regained its clarity and the destructive power that filled the sky vanished. Everything returned to normal, as if nothing had happened. The only difference was that the Celestial Emperor had disappeared. In the entire space, there was only the figure of Long Fei. On Long Fei's side, she laughed crazily. As if he had survived a disaster, he laughed out loud with bloodstains all over his face. He crawled up from the endless pit and swept the world with his ice-cold eyes. He had an expression of "I'm invincible" on his face. At the same time, the system's voice sounded. Ding. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing the Heavenly Emperor. You have obtained 160 million experience points, 600 million holy source points, and 1 striking value point. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing the Heavenly Emperor. You have obtained 160 million experience points, 600 million holy source points, and 1 striking value point. Ding. Congratulations player on obtaining Heaven King Seal. Ding. Congratulations player for obtaining Heavenly Emperor Robe. Ding. Congratulations player for obtaining Heavenly Emperor Dragon Yin Crown. Ding. Congratulations player for obtaining the Heavenly Emperor's Primrose Sword. Ding. Congratulations player for obtaining the Heavenly Emperor's Life Force Technique. Do you wish to learn it? System prompt. Cultivate. Long Fei did not hesitate and immediately made his decision. Needless to say, just based on the names alone, it was a crazy and cool way to do things. Life is supreme, who dares to say anything about Siming? Yet, The Celestial Emperor dared to call him that. Why? He definitely had someone backing him up. In an instant, a flash of light passed through, and the Heavenly Emperor mantra was instantly controlled. Long Fei quickly looked at the system panel. Cultivation method, Heaven Emperor's fate technique. Attributes, control, suppression. Description, Bloodwheel Heaven's mandate, life path gear. To master the Tao of life in the azure skies. Qualification, become the king of a realm. The moment he finished reading, Long Fei's mind exploded. The path of destiny. It really is the path of destiny. To control the life of all? This is awesome. Life had always been the most ethereal thing. The path of life was unpredictable, even the supreme powerhouse were unable to control the absolute trajectory. This point, Long Batian was the best proof. However, something like that actually dropped from the Celestial Emperor's body. It was even difficult for Long Fei to be confident in himself. You can only use it after you become the king of a realm? Really *king disgusting. And then, control the azure life Tao, so what the common people here are talking about, should be the entire ancient world. In other words, this path of life is incomplete. It's just an incomplete path of life. Above the god of boundary, there is still an even stronger existence controlling the life of a person at the level of the god of boundary. Long Fei thought. He had never believed in destiny. A certain number. A certain number. It's all bullshit. In Long Fei's worldview, these things were merely meant for the stronger people. They held a certain power and planned the fate of the weak. So, if it really existed, then there was only one thing Long Fei wanted to do. That was the variable. And then, he would have to wield even more power to wipe out all those who controlled him. He had to be free and at ease. And at the same time, a blood-colored space appeared on Long Fei's chest, on his abdomen. It was hard for the naked eye to fathom. Only by using his mind and soul to perceive it would he be able to see through it. Long Fei's will sank into it, and instantly sensed these countless specks of light, which represented the trails of life. But now, his cultivation was not enough, and he had not yet become a god of boundary, so he could only sense and not affect. Long Fei didn't think too much into it. Since he couldn't use it, Long Fei didn't mind it too much. This time, killing the Celestial Emperor had been completely unexpected. But Long Fei's personality was always like this, he would never retreat. If they didn't accept it, then so be it. Not enough. 1.6 billion experience, Heavenly Emperor set? Not enough. This senior's half-dead skill is gone, the boss level is gone. Just these few items? System, do you think I'm easy to bully? Berserk power, explode. He had wasted so many cards and tricks. With such a small amount of ingredients, Long Fei was naturally unsatisfied. Although 600 million experience was impressive, it was still too little when compared to Long Fei's current life force experience. Furthermore, there was the Heavenly Emperor armor. Each of them was of the super artifact level, and were in no way inferior to a deadly weapon. However, compared to the trump card that Long Fei had, there was still a huge gap. Thus, without the slightest hesitation, he directly exploded forth with his striking value. Ding! Congratulations player for obtaining the power of the best. Ding! Congratulations player on obtaining martial skill, Emperor's Sword. Long Fei's eyes were shut. What he was waiting for was now. The reason why the Celestial Emperor was so formidable was because the power of the Emperor realm was the key. This was a power bestowed by the heavens. TSK, I wonder what the heavenly gift power will look like after fusing with the great Tao root. Involuntarily, Long Fei started to daydream. After that, Long Fei turned his gaze towards the Lord of Primal Chaos, who was behind the endless primal chaos. Instantly, Long Fei felt an impulse in his heart. That was a head-on clash. At this time, Liu Luoshi, Yu Ru, the little guy, Yaya, Li Yuanba, and the others also came over one by one. Hubby, are you alright? It scared me to death. Liu Luoshi and Yu Ru spoke up at the same time. Their faces were filled with worry. To them, everything that had just happened was torture. They could only watch Long Fei battling bitterly without being able to help. To them, This was even more unbearable than watching his attacks land damage on their bodies. "Father," the little guy also obediently said, not saying a single word. However, his innocent face was filled with a ruthlessness that could destroy all living beings. "Father, I must become strong as soon as possible. At that time, whoever hurts you will be killed by me," the little guy firmly said. Long Fei laughed, and did not say a word. As for Li Yuanba and the rest, they did not make a sound. However, there was a determined look in his eyes, as if he approved of the little guy's words. "I'm fine, luckily you guys didn't come. Remember, the next time you discover that I'm in a passive state, you must leave. As for me, you all don't have to worry. I've been here for so long, yet you all still don't understand me." Long Fei comforted them one by one. However, none of them answered. Long Fei was determined, he did not care about the shocked stares from the distance, and turned to leave. Suddenly, space itself began to change. The Lord of Chaos's body instantly broke through the horizon, descending before him. Instantly, Long Fei's heart tensed up. Li Yuanba and the others instinctively moved and rushed in front of Long Fei. The Lord of Primal Chaos also didn't speak. He didn't say a word as he stared at Long Fei. A pair of sharp eyes flashed, as if they could see through Long Fei. Long Fei was scared witless by what he was seeing, and he immediately made up his mind. "You want to deal with me?" Long Fei went straight to the point and asked. These two eyes were simply too terrifying. Even Long Fei himself could feel the hairs on his entire body stand on end, as if his entire body had been seen through. Although Long Fei was confident, he wouldn't be able to discover the existence of the system. However, he still felt uncomfortable. Moreover, against the Celestial Emperor just now, the existence at the foot of the mountain of primal chaos had already been exposed. As the only person who knew the truth, Long Fei was even more certain that the appearance of the Lord of Primal Chaos was an act of uneasiness. "Kid, you really didn't disappoint me. Very good. Even the Heaven's Punishment Throne is no longer a match for you. Then from now on, I have nothing to worry about." As the Lord of Chaos spoke, he moved his hands, and the entire mountain began to melt. Soon after, a huge ring was formed. It covered an area of 100 kilometers. It was incomparably vast. "Since you like fighting so much, I'll give you this chance. From now on, the qualification battles begin. The only rule of the qualification battles is that there are no rules. Everyone on the mountain shall enter the arena. Like a tornado. Like a tornado. It instantly engulfed the entire world. All the figures on top of the mountain of primal chaos were swept up onto the stage in the blink of an eye without anyone being able to control them. It was a chaotic battle. It will be up. It was an awe-inspiring display of power, tens of thousands of people. Long Fei and the rest were not surprised either, they went straight to the center of the stage. Long Fei's face darkened. The Lord of the Chaos finally saw the end of the road. Now that even the existence of the Chaos Mountain had been exposed, there was no point in continuing to hide it. "You guys be careful later." Long Fei's voice was low, and she did not reveal the Master of Primal Chaos's plans. This was too shocking. The words that came out actually made everyone uneasy. Of course, Long Fei was not the only one who was shocked. Those who were forced to enter the battlefield. He was instantly stupefied. With a sullen face, he was in extreme pain. "The Lord of all fiends, you are sending us to our deaths, aren't you? We don't want to fight, we don't want any qualifications. Let us go." "Right, we are only here to make fun of you, not to join the war." The crowd roared in anger. These few days, the entire Primal Chaos Mountain was Long Fei's personal battlefield. He slaughtered and annihilated the entire sect, again and again. Now, even the Heavenly Emperor had disappeared, and without even needing to think, he was already dead because of Long Fei. How could they continue fighting like this? Even the hierarchy of heaven had no way of escaping. If they went up, wouldn't that mean they were delivering food? Not fight. Then die. Their clamoring, however, had aroused the displeasure of the Lord of Primordial Chaos. As the sound of his voice faded, an extremely mysterious power appeared on the platform and instantly blew the speaker out of the platform. Next, a fist shadow appeared. Boom. Asterisk boom. 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 As the fist shadow passed by, everything in the air was annihilated. Endless amounts of blood mist floated down. Hiss. Instantly, everyone went silent. He didn't dare to say another word. This is the example of the past. Who wouldn't want to join the war? I'll see him off. The Lord of all Fiends said coldly. His tone was extremely tyrannical. They couldn't refuse. If they didn't fight, then they would die. In this instant, not a single dissonant sound could be heard. Long Fei was equally shocked as he raised his head to look at the Lord of Primal Chaos. The current Lord of Chaos was far too focused. And, it was too powerful, too absolute. It was as if a single wave wanted to dye this mountain with its blood. Immediately after, the Lord of Chaos looked towards Long Fei. Let's fight. Let's enjoy the battle. If you like killing people, then I'll let you kill as many as you want today. So many people. It should be enough to make you happy. The Lord of all Fiends said coldly, in a condescending manner. Long Fei's heart turned cold, an unprecedented feeling of oppression swept over his heart. The more ardent the Lord of Chaos was, the more confident he became. Boss, what should we do? Is this old thing's brain being ridiculous? They actually let this kind of trash join the battle. Isn't this the same as delivering food to you? Li Yuanba said. He did not understand, but he knew that if Long Fei wanted to become stronger, he needed more people. These people were the best raw materials. Boss, you rest first. This bunch of trash doesn't even need you to do anything. Zhong Yuehu's body trembled, the decaying power on his body suffused. The aura of death filled the air. It was eerie and terrifying, and it sent chills down one's spine. The little guy and Yaya arrived together, holding each other's hands with a look of interest on his face. But Long Fei shook his head. Kill. Naturally, he had to kill. Mosquito's legs were also meat. Now that Long Fei urgently wanted to level up, he was not willing to let even one of them go. However, before he was absolutely confident, Long Fei didn't want to rashly make a move and become the master of Chaos's chess piece. If the suppressive power of the chaotic mountain truly were to erupt, then the Lord of all Fiends' scheme would succeed. At that time, would he even have the ability to fight? If all his strength was added together, could he defeat his opponent? At that time, Long Batian said that I had to at least have a stage of perfection to be able to break through this calamity. As for Long Batian, it is extremely likely that he is the owner of another system. Therefore, his words are believable. But his prediction was outside of the mutation caused by the fusion of the great Tao root's power. What should we do? Should we bet or not? Long Fei was conflicted. If it was the him of the past, he definitely wouldn't have said that. A head-on clash was definitely not a second possibility. But now, his woman, his brother, his son. Since they were both here, it made Long Fei a little nervous in his heart, and he didn't dare easily make a decision. But if he didn't act, the Lord of Chaos wouldn't let him off so easily. The Primal Chaos Lord floated in the air, staring coldly at the battle on the platform. What is it? You won't do anything? If that's the case, then I will add another pile of firewood. 7 Chaos Children, come out. The Lord of all Fiends said coldly. Su su su. In the blink of an eye, 7 figures pierced through the sky. Every single one of them had an extremely powerful aura. They were all at the peak of the supreme great complete realm, and there was even a faint, unique radiance circulating on their bodies. 7 Chaos Children? What's going on? Isn't Long Fei the son of Primal Chaos? Why did the 7 Chaos Children appear again? This conspiracy, a huge conspiracy. I want to go. I don't want to be here. As the figure of the Chaos Child appeared, the chilling murderous aura that filled the skies explained everything. Long Fei was also stunned. Lord of Chaos, this was a showdown. Especially when Long Fei shifted his gaze towards the 7 figures, he suddenly trembled. Zhao Hao, Qin Wuyue, Li Wuyu, Li Wuming, Tian Luhu, and Tian Badao. Other than the last one that Long Fei did not recognize, the rest of the 7 children of the Primal Chaos were all extremely familiar with each other. Impossible. They're already dead. They can't possibly still be alive. Long Fei was astonished. All these people had died under his hands, so how could someone who was sentenced to death by the system still be alive? Immediately, Long Fei turned his gaze towards the Lord of the Primal Chaos. It's him. What is he trying to do? Long Fei became increasingly hesitant in his heart. On the one hand, he was trying to ignite conflicts between them so that he could kill them. On the one hand, they were resurrected. Why, exactly? Are you surprised? The Primal Chaos leader chuckled. His smile was still warm, but it was enough to send chills down one's spine. Everyone was dumbfounded. Then, they came to their senses and looked at Long Fei. Nothing out of the ordinary. After all, you've set up such a big trap. Aren't you waiting for now? Unfortunately, I will not allow you to do as you wish. Although your scheme is amazing, you still need me. But from now on, if I don't kill anyone, the existence at the foot of the mountain won't be able to come out. At that time, what should you do? What can you do? Long Fei said sarcastically. Without fear. Since he had already said this, Long Fei did not want to feign ignorance. Ha ha ha, not one is killed. Long Fei, you are too naive. From the moment you entered the unknown, this seat has been in the layout. The 7 sons of primal chaos created by the Golden Lotus, allowing you to massacre the entire unknown land step by step, even overturning the entire Sky Empire. Do you think you can let go without even saying a word? Impossible. The Lord of Chaos felt confident and confident. The Lord of Chaos felt confident and confident. It was as if everything was under his control. You said it's impossible, so it's impossible. Is the Lord of Chaos invincible? If you have the ability, then kill yourself. Long Fei was disdainful. He had already seen through it, and Long Batian had even seen through it with just a few words. These people must be killed by him. Only then would it be effective. Otherwise, with the Lord of Chaos's power, it would only take an instant to destroy the entire unknown land. However, he didn't. Instead, he would lay down such a monstrous situation for himself to kill. This meant that he was the key to the Lord of Chaos's plan. So, if I don't kill you, what can you do? Ha ha ha, Long Fei, till now, do you think you still have a chance to turn the tables? If I didn't have the certainty, do you think I would have revealed my hand? If you don't kill me, do you think you have the right to do so now? 7 Chaos children, attack. The Lord of all fiends ordered. In the blink of an eye, 7 figures entered the crowd. One by one, screams of agony after another sounded out. No, don't kill me. Why? Heavens, help me. Don't kill me. Lord of the Chaos, I'll fuck your mother. Puff. In the blink of an eye, screams of agony could be heard. Countless people had died. Long Fei remained cold and indifferent, completely ignoring him. He had never done too many things like killing people. Even when he was in a bad mood, he would still kill. But just as the screams came to an end, Long Fei's expression changed. He was completely shocked. F***CK your grandpa, what's going on? Long Fei looked astonished. Because, at this moment, the system's notification rang in his ears. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing little bro Jong-san. Obtained 1000 EXP, 0 holy source points, 1 striking value point. Ding. Ding ding ding. One after another. In just a breath of time, Long Fei gained several million experience. Ha ha ha, how is it? You won't kill me. It doesn't matter if you kill me or not. If you don't kill, there will be someone to kill for you. The Lord of all fiends laughed wildly, a smug look on his face. Long Fei's face darkened. Completely unexpected. He had never imagined that the Lord of Chaos would have the ability to do such a thing. A coquettish comparison. Boss, has this old man gone silly? What are you talking about? Li Yuanbar and the rest were all dumbfounded. They had no idea what was going on. Long Fei did not speak. He had no idea how to explain it. However, their gazes were locked onto the 7 people in the crowd. Instantly, he understood. At this very moment, he actually felt that these 7 people were somehow related to him. The aura of primal chaos around him was extremely familiar. Every time he made a move, his aura of being the son of primal chaos instantly lit up. Jade pendant. The heck, it turns out that you've already set up some tricks at that time. Old thing, you really hid your strength well. In a moment, Long Fei completely understood everything. It turned out that he had already walked out of the Abyss Demon prison. By the time the Golden Chaos Lotus had appeared, the Lord of all Fiends had already set his sights on him. After that, when he killed Zhao Hao, he allowed himself to become the son of primal chaos. And then everything happened. He had never thought of this. Haha, so what if I understand? The current you, do you still have the qualifications to challenge me? Who in the entire ancient world would dare to challenge me? Long Fei, just you wait. Once all these people die, it will be your day of death. The Lord of all Fiends stood proudly in the air as he spoke quietly. In his words, he was extremely excited. It was as if he had personally planted a seed and was harvesting it now. Long Fei's expression also became more and more unsightly, as though he was extremely aggrieved in his heart. He was powerless to stop it. So what if he had seen through the other party's scheme? It was still the same as always, he was being played in the palm of his hand. At this moment, the little guy, unparalleled dragon, had an angry look on his face as he punched towards the sky with his little fist. Old man, you schemed against my father, go to hell. In the blink of an eye, God of Underworld broke through the horizon and punched the Lord of Primal Chaos. No. Long Fei roared. Someone at the level of the Lord of Primal Chaos, who was from the same era as Long Batian, would definitely not be a match for this little fellow, no matter how strong it was. However, it was too late. The Lord of Primordial Chaos didn't even pay attention to this God of Underworld's punch at all. With a casual wave of his hand, he was annihilated. Puff. The little guy was hit by the backlash and fainted. Such a power dares to attack this reputed one? Even the ancient emperor would have to bow before me. How dare you all be so impudent? Long Fei, you are useless. I have tolerated you being so arrogant for so long. The Lord of all Fiends' eyes turned cold as he pressed downwards. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Instantly, the entire primal chaos region erupted. The endless power of primal chaos transformed into an endless pressure, forming a tornado. It swept down from the skies. Wherever he went, there were no remains at all. Thousands of people vanished into thin air. But this power did not dissipate. Because the target was Long Fei. Long Fei's eyes were scarlet red, his anger exploding. This little fellow was his reverse scale. Even if he had to use his life, Long Fei had to protect him. But now, he had actually been injured so badly by the Lord of the Chaos World, it was hard to tell if he was alive or dead. How could Long Fei not be angry? Long Batian, fuck your ancestors. Long Fei was furious. He instantly connected the root of the Great Way of the Buddha to the Heavenly Emperor armor that was revealed earlier. Ding. Heaven Emperor seal mutated and leveled up. Ding. Heaven Emperor robe mutated, upgraded to Soul Forbidden robes. Ding. Heavenly Emperor Dragon Yin crown has mutated, upgraded to Azure Dragon horn. Ding. The Heavenly Emperor Ascendant sword's mutation, leveled up to the Divine Punishment. Ding. Mutation set, activated special skill, extinguishing life. Ding. Variant set beginning to fuse. The system's notification sound continued to ring out, and Long Fei's eyes became colder and colder. One by one, the mutated suits with different attributes and different strengths began to merge. The power attribute also appeared in front of Long Shi. Skill: destroy all living beings. Attribute: void. Description: mutation set special abilities. 4 mutation god equipment have been fused to trigger the ultimate skill. Ignore level: 100% kill. Restricted condition: target is a living being. The conditions were very special, causing Long Fei to be slightly stunned. But now, he didn't have the time to think about it. A dragon has a reverse scale. Touch it and you will die. Even the Lord of all Fiends wouldn't be able to do it. Since he had done it, even if he had to risk his life, Long Fei would definitely make his opponent lose a layer of skin. This is his attitude. Whoever dares to provoke me will do it. 1 breath of time, 2 breaths of time. After 2 breaths of time, all the mutated equipment finally merged together. Instantly, with a thought from Long Fei, an incomparably ferocious power appeared in his hands. Since you want to kill him, then kill him. Today, no one can even think of living. Annihilate all living things. Annihilate for me. Life and death, the only result of a battle to the death. Life and death, the only result of a battle to the death. Either survive or perish. Long Fei gave his all for the sake of survival, defense, and protection. The mutation of the Sky Emperor's set had meant that he had trained himself to an extraordinary level. Now that he had 4 combined, he was even more like a Transformers. The God-subduing seal was like a giant mountain, rumbling through the world. The soul-forbidden robes flickered carelessly and continuously, but they became a forbidden land of souls. Just their aura alone became the source of extermination for the Celestial Emperor. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Countless people on the primal Chaos Mountain were stunned. His soul was sucked into the forbidden soul robe as if it was uncontrollable. The power of the soul ban instantly exploded out. And there was also Azure Dragon's horn. Roar. A world-shocking roar sounded. An azure dragon stretched across the primordial chaos, spiraling through the air. It was filled with terrifying power, and its breath was filled with destructive power. Wherever it passed, it became a field of white and a boundless wilderness. The divine Punisher blade also instantly flashed with a soaring sword light. The 4 types of powers intersected and intersected, causing the entire mountain of primordial chaos to be transformed into a danger zone. With every breath he took, people would die. Stop. I can't accept it. I still have endless lifespan and I still have a chance to break through to the throne. I beg of you, this is your problem, don't implicate us. One after another, they were all suffering in order to survive. But Long Fei, completely indifferent. These people had always been full of hostility towards him. If he didn't have the skills, he would have been pushed down by the crowd long ago. As for the Lord of Primordial Chaos, he didn't care either. Of course, even though he was the Lord of the Chaos, he wouldn't be at ease right now. Annihilate all living things? Is this your power? The Lord of all Fiends narrowed his eyes. It became incomparably solemn. Yes, this is my power. What Laozi wants to destroy is not all living beings, Laozi wants to destroy only you. Long Fei said coldly. In an instant, he took a step forward. The power in his hand was incomparably brilliant as it was pushed out with a loud bang. In the blink of an eye, the divine seal of suppression covered the entire world, crushing everything in its path. The black dragon roared and crashed into the black dragon. Countless souls in the forbidden soul robes struggled as they ferociously attacked forward. In addition, the divine Punisher blade shone with sharpness as it stabbed straight towards the Lord of all Fiends. In that instant, the Lord of all Fiends' face changed. It was no longer as ferocious as it was before. He became extremely flustered. Even he felt a sense of impending doom. Impossible. In the end, you're just an ant. How could your strength be so explosive? The Lord of the Chaos took a step back, cupping his hands around himself. In the blink of an eye, all of the power of chaos on the mountain was concentrated in his hands. It transformed into a blade made of primal chaos and slashed out. Boom! Boom! A huge explosion resounded. The blade of chaos was completely useless. It was directly crushed by the God-subduing seal. And at the same time, the divine seal of suppression crumbled. But this time, the power of the divine seal did not dissipate, instead fusing directly with the power of annihilation. Instantly, the number of soul seals rose dramatically. A divine soul rushed into the sky and absorbed the power of the suppressive divine imprint. It then opened its bloody mouth and bit towards the imprint. KCHA. Half of the Lord of Chaos's body was bitten off. The endless power of primordial chaos began to emanate outwards. The Lord of Chaos was in tremendous pain as well. At the same time, the entire soul-forbidden robes shattered inch by inch and finally turned into an endless amount of soul force, adding onto the azure dragon's body. In the distance, Long Fei's face looked excited. Ha ha, it's actually a combo skill. One ring after another, and its power directly affects the next attack. Awesome. Long Fei laughed out loud. The Lord of Primordial Chaos was injured. Half of his body was engulfed. Moreover, these were only 2 attacks. There were also 2 times when he would be even more powerful. When that happened, the Lord of Chaos would undoubtedly die. Instantly, Long Fei heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. At the same time, a roar that could pierce the heavens erupted. Long Fei, I will kill you. No one can suppress me. Long Batian is finished. I am the only one who will remain immortal for all eternity. How could he be turned over by a piece of trash? Destroy. A furious roar came from the primal chaos. His voice pierced through the 9 heavens and the 10 earth, causing ripples of primal chaos. Endless amounts of chaotic force converged into a line in the entire world. With the Lord of Primal Chaos at the center, chaos swept about in a berserk fashion. The Lord of Primordial Chaos was the ruler of the primordial chaos. His will was the supreme existence of the entire Bedlam lands. Otherwise, the Celestial Emperor wouldn't be willing to lower his head. Boom. It was as if the sky had collapsed and the earth had collapsed. An inexhaustible pressure began to come crushing down. No one can hurt me. Long Fei, you have to pay the price for your actions. Primal Chaos Explosion. Half of the body of the Lord of Primordial Chaos was still as savage as ever. Explode. It all depended on who could explode. Azure Dragon, explode for me. How could he submit after betting all 4 of his treasures? Impossible. Roar. The instant Long Fei's voice fell. The Azure Dragon soared into the sky as the 30,000-meter dragon god turned into the heavens. It pressed down. And at this time, the raging chaos burst apart. To destroy everything, any presence that was tainted by the aura of the explosion of primal chaos would instantly disappear without a trace. But there was only one exception. That was the Azure Dragon's incarnation. The massive dragon body was like a flame that was about to break through the heavens and earth. The Azure Dragon's horn glistened brilliantly and was incomparably bright. The vicious blade flashed with a cold light as it broke through the chaos. It continued to sink. He only had one goal, and that was the Lord of Primordial Chaos. No, impossible. How could such a power exist in this world? The Lord of Primordial Chaos was instantly thrown into a state of panic. Half of his body instantly disappeared into the air, attempting to flee. However, it was too late. Moreover, this was locked by the system. Even if he were to hide outside the heaven, it would be useless. Boop. Boom. The Azure Dragon's horn blasted through the Lord of all Fiends' chest, piercing straight through it. Rumble. Instantly, the Lord of all Fiends' chaos energy vanished as well. As for the son of primal chaos who, only his head was left. He was still not destroyed, and the rest had already been turned into dust. Impossible? Is it possible now? The Lord of Primordial Chaos? Chief Sovereign of Chaos? Is it that amazing? It's great to be able to control this daddy step by step, isn't it? Now it's even more incredible. Haha. Long Fei completely relaxed his mind. As expected, the power of the system did not disappoint him. Right now, there was still one more instance where he had yet to unleash his most explosive power. The Lord of Chaos was already doomed to die. With only a head left, would he still be able to act smug? Divine Punisher Blade, chop. Long Fei shouted as his entire body appeared before the Lord of Primal Chaos. With the Divine Punisher Blade in hand, he slashed down with his sword. This type of ultimate boss had to personally kill it to have a greater sense of accomplishment. As for the head of the Lord of Chaos, it was powerless to resist. No, Long Fei, I won't die. If you dare to make a move, I will make you die without a burial ground. The Lord of the Chaos was still as tough as ever. Not die. Even Long Batian would die, will you not die? Since your father is the one who is going to make a move, there is no one who won't die. Die. The immortal execution sword will be destroyed. What do you mean, immortal execution? What do you mean, immortal execution? Only by exterminating an immortal god could he be called an immortal execution. Even an immortal deity could be destroyed. What was there to not perish? Moreover, just from the name alone, this move was a symbol of invincibility. Although Long Fei was not sure what the connection between this attack of the Divine Punisher Blade and the Divine Punisher Blade in his memory. But he could be sure. Its power was definitely extraordinary. Swish. Just like this moment, when the sword beam swept past, the world was destroyed. The Lord of Chaos, who was in the middle of shouting, instantly lost all signs of life. Under the sharp gaze of the sword, he was directly blown to smithereens. Then, the light of the Divine Punisher Blade in Long Fei's hand slowly faded. Then it exploded. Long Fei stood in the air and turned around to look. The huge platform had already been dyed in blood. The smell of blood rose to the heavens. It filled the void. Tens of thousands of people had died in the clash of his divine abilities against the Lord of Chaos's. Merely experiences, big and small, had brought Long Fei billions. It was enough to prove the cruelty of this battle. Of course, there were also some who survived. These people had slightly stronger cultivations, or they might have extraordinary divine treasures to defend against the aftermath of the battle. But of course, not a single one of the 7 Chaos children had died. However, Long Fei did not take it to heart. Even the child of primal chaos was killed, the remaining 7 were nothing. It's okay, it's okay. The Lord of all fiends is dead. Everything is over. Long Fei walked over to Liu Luoshi and the rest sighed. He said with a relaxed expression, "Hubby, Invincible's injuries are very severe. The power within his body is surrounded by chaos, and only by expelling that power can he wake up." Liu Luoshi's face was filled with grief. Suddenly, Long Fei's face turned cold. The little fellow now was the original intention of his battle. He was tenacious, unyielding. Never bow your head. It was to protect. But now, he was still seriously injured. Suddenly, a sense of defeat arose in Long Fei's heart. "Boss, you don't have to be too sad. He is the inheritor of the god of Underworld. If he were to devour the heart of the god of Underworld, maybe he would be able to recover." Li Wuxin said. It could be said that he was the one with the most comprehensive inheritance. Compared to the others, his power was also the most special. Because before Long Fei had awakened him, he was already on the path of finding his own strength. Heart of the god of Underworld. Instantly, Long Fei's eyes lit up. Long ago from the Sky Spill secret world, Long Fei found out about a special existence. There were 13 emperors with the ultimate power. Since Li Wuxin had said so, it meant that there was a place of hope. Since it was hope, Long Fei would never give up. Fine. Let's leave this unknown region now and head to the place where the 10,000 worlds meet. Long Fei immediately said. This little guy was his life, and even if he had to face off against 13 emperors, Long Fei would do it to the end. After Long Fei finished speaking, he carried the little fellow, and was about to tear apart the void. Everyone followed him. However, at this moment, something shocking happened. The air seemed to have become petrified. No matter how hard Long Fei tried to activate the hand of primal chaos, he could not move an inch. Following that, Li Yuanba, Li Wuxin, Zhongyu and the rest all made their moves. In the end, however, it was still unable to tear through the void. It was as if a chaos cage had unknowingly sealed off all escape routes. F*CK, boss, is this still the aura of primal chaos? This is the absolute primal chaos realm, right? The decaying power on Zhongyu's body exploded, filled with a corrosive aura, all life melted away. However, in the instant it touched the nodes in the chaotic space, it disappeared completely. It was as if a clay ox had entered the sea, and there was no reaction at all. In that moment, Long Fei's eyes dimmed. A sense of danger suddenly surfaced in his heart. Suddenly, an earth-shaking terror appeared in Long Fei's heart. Not good. The Lord of Primordial Chaos isn't dead at all. Long Fei immediately tensed up. Until now, there had been no sound from the system. Furthermore, when he killed the Lord of Chaos, There wasn't a single trace of the boss light. No health bar. The attribute is not. Even if it was just a wild comparison. But it didn't have any of the boss's features. It was also at this time that Long Fei suddenly thought of the conditions for the annihilation of all beings. Life form. Valid only for life forms. The F***CK. I wasn't the Lord of Chaos at all. Long Fei shouted in horror. At the same time, a wild laughter came from behind him. Long Fei suddenly turned around, and saw a seventh son of the primal chaos walking out faintly from afar. Behind him were 6 people who looked like zombies. They were expressionless and lifeless. Ha ha ha, now do you understand? It's too late. Long Fei, I must say, I have still underestimated you. Fortunately, I made 2 preparations, and what you just killed was just a body made of pure energy. It's just a puppet controlled by a single thought of mine. Right now, this body is where my true strength lies. Ha ha ha, how is it? I didn't think that you would still be too inexperienced to fight against me. The 7th son of the primal chaos laughed out loud. In the blink of an eye, his face began to change as an endless aura of primal chaos flashed across his body. Slowly, it transformed into the appearance of the Lord of Primordial Chaos. At the same time, the information of the Lord of Primal Chaos appeared in front of Long Fei. The dazzling light of the boss pierced through the sky and lit up the world. Long Fei stared intently as his eyes slightly narrowed, feeling the urgency in his heart. Because this time, it was all question marks. Ever since Long Fei broke through, there were very few bosses that gave out question marks. No matter how powerful they were, there was a limit. But now, the true form of the primal Chaos Lord had appeared. There was simply no way to see it at all. What is it? Aren't you crazy? If you want to blow me up, then you have to see if you have the ability to do so. Now, no matter how berserk your power is, it's useless. You won't have the chance. Even the inheritance of the Emperor behind you will become my power. In the ancient world, I am the only qualified one. I shall become the eternal god of boundary. The Lord of all fiends was incomparably arrogant. He seemed to be the final winner. Long Fei didn't say a word as he stared at the Lord of Primal Chaos. He was burning with anxiety. Yuan Ba, you guys leave. Remember, protect them well. Also, 7 King Kongs should also be in the crowd at the Primal Chaos platform. If a huge battle breaks out later, the 2 of you will be the first to come together. After that, you can leave immediately. Long Fei said in a serious tone. Li Yuanba was startled for a moment, and then, his face darkened. Boss, you know everything? Since that's the case, let's face it head on. If the 8 of us join forces, we'll also have one more powerful move. Adding on their strength, it's not impossible for them to fight. Li Yuanba said urgently. Long Fei could feel it, but he could naturally also sense the auras of several Vajra as well. Long Fei shook his head. If it was before, Long Fei would naturally not retreat. But now, no. This was because the entire Primal Chaos Mountain had already begun to transform. The Lord of Chaos's plans had been harvested. At this moment, the Lord of all fiends suddenly leapt into the air. The time has come, Primal Chaos, turn around. The sea of blood swept through heaven and earth. The sea of blood swept through heaven and earth. An earth-shattering roar was heard by the Primal Chaos Lord. It shook out from the mountain of Primal Chaos, rushing back into the world. Rumble. In that instant, the entire Primal Chaos Mountain completely collapsed, as though it couldn't withstand the pressure of the mountain at all. Disintegration. Long Fei responded instantly as the hand of Primal Chaos swept Liu Luoshi and the others away before jumping into the air. At the same time, those lucky survivors on the mountain didn't care about anything else and impatiently left the mountain as well. Right now, the mountain was a forbidden zone. Violent blood energy meant the end of his life. Some of the people who weren't able to flee in time were instantly flooded by the bloody mist. In an instant, he was devoured into a dried-up bone, and his entire cultivation and spirit blood's power were merged within. Su su su. In the blink of an eye, it covered the entire sky and earth. Want to run? That's impossible. It's been too long, and I've been suppressed here for far too long. Now is the time to turn the world upside down. All of you. He will be the first person to witness my glory. Therefore, use your lives and tremble under my power." The Lord of all fiends moved his hands. Blood-red threads interweaved between his hands. The intersecting chaos was directly linked to the collapse of the primal chaos mountain. Instantly, an extremely terrifying scene appeared. In the hands of the Lord of the Chaos, the number of blood veins continued to increase. Without even adding one more, a person was directly ripped apart. Endless amounts of blood and chi flowed through him, stimulating his existence at the foot of the mountain of primal chaos. In the blink of an eye, 1,296 blood veins extended through the void, and the presence at the foot of the mountain of primal chaos was completely exposed. Ha ha, chaos, my physical body has finally appeared. The nourishment of countless flesh and blood over the ages. This time, I'm going to make 10,000 worlds tremble. No one can stop me. Chaos, turn around. The Lord of all fiends went berserk, his voice hysterical. Goop. Boom. At this moment, a loud sound echoed out. Swish. The entire primal chaos mountain was gone without a trace, and the moment it appeared, a blood-red figure stood in mid-air. It was incomparably terrifying. In the distance, Long Fei's heart had also continuously sunk. The Lord of the Chaos was full of question marks. Add this so-called primordial chaos? To what extent should they go berserk? Go quickly. In an instant, Long Fei made a decision and turned to leave. Li Yuanbar and the rest did not dare to stay, following Long Fei. Break for me. Long Fei bellowed, used all his strength and punched towards the sky. Rumble. The air rumbled, but it was only the shaking of the rift. Under Long Fei's punch, there actually wasn't even the slightest hint of a crack. I'll do it. Berserk fighting against the heavens. Li Yuanbar instantly transformed. With his 15 meters of berserk body, he punched towards the sky. Rumble, rumble, rumble. There was also a burst of explosions. But at the same time, the void remained as stable as it had ever been. After that, Li Wuxin, Zhong Yu, and Yu Ru made their moves one after the other. However, the result was the same as before, and the void was stable. It was like becoming a dead end. In another place, Aoya and the rest were also frenziedly bombarding the void, trying to break out of this space. But the result was the same. The power of the 7 King Kongs was unleashed one by one, and the sky was as hard as iron. It was also at this time. Ha ha ha, Long Fei, do you still want to escape? As the most important part of my plan, how can I let you go? They're just the appetizers. You're the real main course. Now is the time to realize your worth. Chaos. Swallow him. The Lord of Chaos gave the order. Roar. In the blink of an eye, a gigantic blood figure soared into the sky. It opened its mouth wide, facing Long Fei, it engulfed over. In an instant, an extremely heavy feeling surfaced in Long Fei's heart. There was no way to dodge it. F***CK. Damn it. Do you really think I don't have any power? Level 8 burst. Since he had nowhere to run, he could only take it head-on. However, the moment he made his move, Long Fei fled far away from the center of the battle. In order to avoid harming Li Yuanbar and the others, the Chaos Blood Shadow instantly chased after him as well. Roar. Its huge mouth opened from the void. Goop. Boom. He punched out. Drops of blood continued to fall off the body of the Chaos Blood Shadow. Drops of blood that contained berserk power dripped down from the corner of his mouth, falling onto Long Fei's body. SSSSI. Asterisk SSSSI. Asterisk suddenly, Long Fei's expression froze. It was as if his entire body was being burned by flames. It was incomparably painful and scorching. Even with his current fleshly body, he wouldn't be able to withstand it. Moreover, wherever the blood droplets touched, would immediately begin to corrode. It was as if he wanted to melt Long Fei. Haha, resign yourself to your fate. Long Fei, you won't be able to jump into my palm. Kill you, What long baton, what mysterious power, they are all in my hands. And you, from the beginning to the end, are only a pawn, a pitiful worm. The Lord of Primordial Chaos's eyes were blazing with fire as he stared fixedly at the skies. It was as if in the next moment, all his thoughts would come true. In the distance, Li Yuanbar's men looked like they were about to explode. He couldn't bear it any longer. Making them watch Long Fei being swallowed was something they could not do. Old thing, I'll fight it out with you. The power of Berserk. Li Yuanbar roared, and started running step by step. He was incredibly fast. In the blink of an eye, he was already in front of the Lord of all Fiends. Next, a punch exploded out. Boom! Boom. Violent power scattered everywhere, destroying the heavens and the earth, burying the earth and moon. However, just as the power was about to explode in front of the primordial chaos, with the initiative of the primal chaos, a streak of blood burst from his hand. After which, it turned into a blood fist and punched out. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The void exploded, and space itself erupted. At the point where the two fists collided, an endless amount of fire exploded out. Boom. Asterisk, a loud sound echoed out. Li Yuanbar's body directly fell from the sky and his right arm powerlessly collapsed. In addition, a streak of blood ran through his entire body. Boom! Boom. In an instant, countless blood-red lights submerged Li Yuanbar's body. Instantly, Li Yuanbar fainted, and his entire body seemed to have turned into a bloody person. As he moved, the aura around his body became extremely weak. Brother Yuan Ba. Li Wuxin took a step forward and looked at the unconscious Li Yuanbar. His entire person was filled with ferocity. With both fists clenched, he grasped the supreme beauty sword in his hands. Annihilate the world. Li Wuxin was on the verge of going crazy. He focused all of the destructive power in his body on one sword strike. He wanted to sever the blood veins of the primordial chaos. This was the only way to sever the connection between the Lord of Primal Chaos and the Primal Chaos blood chi and save Long Fei. Clang. The long sword rumbled as it pierced through the skies. The extinction sword intent covered the entire sky and earth. Kill. Li Wuxin roared. But at that moment, the Lord of Chaos smiled. However, he still gave a disdainful smile. You overestimate yourself. With this kind of power, you actually dare to attack me. You ignorant fool, even if I were you, I would still tremble in fear if I were to meet your face to face with you. Break for me. Blood strings swirled in the air. Blood strings swirled in the air. The 1,296 blood veins seemed to follow some sort of pattern. Every time the Lord of the Chaos attacked, he used a tiny bit of it. But as time goes on, there will be another path to be added. Fart. The blood string shot out. It was as if even the Imperial armament was unable to stop it, and the Supreme Beauty Sword intent was immediately devoured. Even the Extinction Sword. They all broke directly from the middle line. Puff. Li Wuxin was struck by the power of the blood vein, and just like Li Yuanbar, he fainted. His aura was also extremely weak. Who else? Ha ha ha, Long Fei, you are useless. Not only you, your brothers, your subordinates are also trash. How is it, isn't it bad? How does it feel to see your brothers fall one by one in front of you? The Lord of all Fiends said softly. Endless ridicule. Naked disdain. In the air, Long Fei was also fighting with all his might. He endured the corrosive power and struck the body of the chaotic virtues again and again. However, the chaotic body was like an iron tower. Its defense was heaven-defying and simply could not be broken. Lord of the Chaos, this old man doesn't care what tricks you use. If you have the ability, come at me. If you dare hurt them, even if I die, I will skin you alive. Long Fei roared, his eyes bloodshot. Haha, are you angry? So what if I'm angry? Weakness is the original sin. With a situation like this, you still want to overturn the heavens, and you still want to make a comeback and ruin my plans? I'm telling you, it's impossible. You are nothing more than trash. Today, not only will I kill you, I will also have you watch over your brothers, your women, and your sons as they die before you. Then, in endless despair, you will end your life." The Lord of all Fiends laughed wildly as his eyes flickered. Another burst of blood veins appeared. This time, there were 10 at once. The 10 blood strings crisscrossed each other as they circled in the air. After that, they both shot out. Instantly, Liu Luoshi activated the power of Purple Star. Rumble. A violet light radiated from his body. But he had not used it yet. Boom. The blood strings swept over. Yu-Ru held her Sky Evolution Staff in her hands, blocking right in front of Liu Luoshi, trying to restrain the blood veins. But in the blink of an eye, yet another power pierced through the air. Bang bang. The two figures were immediately smashed apart and fell to the ground. Next was Zhongyu. As he roared, Zhongyu's body began to rot. The decaying power first corroded its own body, then it began to erode the heavens and earth. However, the consequences of doing so would be extremely disastrous. There was even the possibility of him becoming addicted and perishing on the spot. But now he couldn't think of that. "Boss, eldest sister-in-law. I'll go first. Old thing, follow me to hell." Zhongyu roared in madness. "With just you?" "Not yet." The Lord of all Fiends let out a cold laugh, a cold look in his eyes. In an instant, a streak of blood split apart and directly ended Zhongyu's decaying power. Boom. He fell down again. Long Fei, who was in the air, felt his heart bleeding. Weakness, hate, anger, all sorts of emotions appeared in his mind. No. Long Fei's eyes disregarded the pain on his body, and allowed the power of the chaotic blood shadow to corrode his body. As if he had gone mad, he charged towards Liu Luoshi and the others. However, he did not wait for Long Fei to arrive. 7 more surges of energy appeared out of nowhere. Unparalleled sword force. The strength of Black Knife S. The power of controlling the spirit. The power of Arhat. Defense. The power of the 7 King Kongs erupted. It broke through the horizon. However, in the instant it touched the palm of the Lord of Chaos, it was instantly annihilated. Boom. 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 Bang bang. 7 figures appeared in front of Long Fei, one after another, directly under the control of the Lord of Primal Chaos. 7 King Kongs. Long Fei roared. He stared angrily at the Lord of all Fiends. His heart was filled with blood, and he was in incomparable pain. These were all his brothers, but they were all severely injured by the Lord of Chaos. Chaotic Master's power was wreaking havoc within his body, causing his aura to weaken non-stop. Ha ha ha, how about it? I've said that all of your trump cards are nothing in front of me. Are you angry? Despair. But, so what? It would be fine if you could just be a pawn in peace. But I have to do it. Today, not only will they die, even you have no place to escape to. Body of Primal Chaos, member power. Let's fuse. As he spoke, the 1200 blood veins in the Lord of Chaos hands fused together, making him the only one left. Rumble. In an instant, the entire world turned blood red. At this moment, the entire world rushed into the chaotic body. Boom. Boom. Roar. The blood shadow and the endless blood veins began to merge together. In the instant that the 2 streams of power began to merge together, the Lord of all Fiends' form disappeared as well. They all merged into one. In the blink of an eye, the entire world was silent. The unknown region of primal chaos began to shake non-stop, and the surrounding hundreds of millions of miles began to rumble and fall at the same time. Long Fei's face was gloomy, his body continuing to sink. Boundless despair. He had no power to resist. At this moment, he only wanted to send his brothers and women away. In the distance, the world changed. A corner of the divine space slowly emerged. Ha ha ha, I finally succeeded. Today, the unknown land has disappeared, and the ancient world has completely merged into one. This emperor's era is about to arrive. Long Batian can't suppress me, Chingy can't suppress me. The people outside this region won't be able to suppress me either. Ha ha ha. The Lord of Primordial Chaos laughed wildly. A savage aura emanated from him, filling the heavens and earth. It was also at this time that the Emperor Xian, who had returned to the divine space, suddenly opened his eyes. In Xian Nationality's heavenly palace, the figure of the Emperor Xian flashed and immediately appeared. Lord of the Chaos? How could he break out from the ground? What happened in this unknown place? Po Jun, what happened? Emperor Xian's face changed. The violence of this aura was something even he couldn't ignore. Great Emperor, I don't know what happened either. However, the unknown place has collapsed and is currently fusing with the divine space. In addition, there is a surge of power that is extremely berserk, destroying the heavens and the earth. Moreover, as Po Jun spoke, he hesitated. Emperor Xian's face congealed, and what? Although the Lord of Primal Chaos was terrifying, it was not enough to make the Emperor Xian fear him. What Po Jun said had caught his attention. Moreover, the moment the unknown land crumbled, I seemed to have sensed Long Fei's aura. As Sky Sovereign Po Jun said this, he lowered his head. Crack, crack, crack. Immediately, the sound of Emperor Xian clenching his fists could be heard. That trash isn't dead yet. What do I want you to eat? Since the two realms have merged together, then there will no longer be any place for him to hide. Go, if you still can't kill Long Fei this time, then commit suicide out of fear of your crimes, Emperor Xian said coldly. In a place where the two worlds merged. In a place where the two worlds merged. The Lord of Primordial Chaos was the ruler of all creation, controlling the universe. No living beings dared to come into contact with him in his berserk mode. Ha ha ha, how many years has it been? This seat has finally waited until today. Now, I'm only one step away. Long Fei, as long as we kill you and get your hands on spirit blood, I have a premonition that we will be able to take a step further. At that time, whatever Emperor Xian or alien powerhouse will tremble under this emperor's feet. Now, go to hell. The Lord of all fiends was utterly berserk. At this moment, his energy had been completely fused, and his primal chaos body was completely fused into one. The savage aura completely intimidated the world and dominated everything. Every word contained the power to attack, causing the heavens to tremble. As he spoke, the Lord of Primordial Chaos struck out with his fist. No fancy decorations, no extra decorations. Just one punch. But this punch surpassed all other techniques. This was because this punch contained the power to kill. Rumble. Rumble. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Rumbling sounds could be heard, and everything began to crack. The void collapsed, and the world collapsed. They weren't able to withstand the power of the Lord of the Primal Chaos and were immediately annihilated, becoming a part of the divine space. But at this moment, Long Fei slowly raised his head. It was full of hatred. At this moment, the desperate situation had arrived. Adversity was hard to come by. Now, he finally understood why Long Batian was so wary of him and wanted him to break through to the super great complete realm. Because the difference was simply too great. The difference was so great. There was no way to break through. There was no need to even think about the power of the God of Heaven madman. Even his attacks were useless against it. As for everything else, it was even more useless. This was the first time Long Fei felt that he was so useless. There was even a hint of remorse. If he hadn't killed Li Wuming, he might have been able to recuperate in another 2 days. Perhaps, he might have been able to advance another level. As long as he rose another level, the result would be different. But now, it was too late. I'm sorry, I've harmed all of you. However, as long as I, Long Fei, am still alive, I will definitely not let you go first. I can still use steel. Long Fei looked at Liu Luoshi and the rest, a warm ray of light flashing across his eyes. It seemed to be his last gaze of gentleness. Then, it froze on the little guy's body. A drop of blood fell down silently. After which, his eyes were bloodshot. When he raised his head, he stood straight. Still stubborn. Trash. Since you want to act tough, then I shall give you this chance. You will die under my strongest attack in the midst of your self-righteous strength." As the Lord of Chaos spoke, his aura erupted and he unleashed yet another wave of power. It fused into the punch he had thrown earlier. In the blink of an eye, the fist descended. Boom! Long Fei was completely powerless to resist. The immortal body had long since disappeared, so the only thing he could do was take it head-on. With a single punch, Long Fei's entire being was pierced through. A huge bloody hole appeared in his abdomen. But in the next moment, Long Fei still forcibly stood up. His eyes were bloodshot, as if he had gone insane. "He can still stand up. He's just a piece of trash, there's no need for me to risk my life. Since you are so tough, if I don't kill you, I will let myself down. If one punch isn't enough, then give me another." Boom! Boom! The Lord of Primordial Chaos once more struck out with his fist. His punch was like the wind. Instantly. But the instant it closed in on Long Fei's face, Long Fei moved. A supreme aura exploded from his body. With a glare, the punch came to a halt. At the same time, in the void of this unknown land that had already collapsed, streams of power began to wildly enter Long Fei's body. Ding! The Heavenly Emperor's power mutated, leveling up to the Emperor Limitless. Ding! Emperor's sword mutated, leveled up to World Slaughter. Ding! Body securing technique leveled up to Soul Locking. Ding! The power of Divine Aura mutated and leveled up to the power of Divine Seal. Ding! God Berserk mutated, leveling up. Ding! Brilliant World Flame mutated, leveled up to World Exterminating Flame. Yes! All of Long Fei's power, all of his techniques, were released in this instant. Without the slightest hesitation. If he died, what was the use of using this power? He was risking everything on this. If he didn't die, he would live. Ding! System prompt: player will lose all of their strength once fused. Please consider carefully. Ding! System prompt: player will lose all of their strength once fused. Please consider carefully. Ding! System prompt: player will lose all of their strength once fused. Please consider carefully. The system kept prompting him. Strength fusion. Long Fei said in a serious tone. There was no need to consider it. He didn't have the right to consider it. Right now, Long Fei's only thought was to give it his all. This was all his trump card, all his strength. He didn't believe it. He couldn't stop the Lord of all fiends. Because what he wanted was to let his brothers and women, as well as his son, continue to live. As for himself, being said to have lost his strength, even if he lost his life, it was nothing. Ding! Congratulations player Long Fei for successfully fusing, triggering super fusion power. The burial ground. Catcher. It was also at this time that the power of the Lord of Chaos was directly annihilated by the inexhaustible power of the Emperor. You still have tricks up your sleeves. I didn't expect a piece of trash like you to really make me have a whole new level of respect for you. But that's all. It's impossible to reverse it. Annihilation of the primordial chaos. The Lord of Primal Chaos roared, the aura on his body exploding forth to the extreme, instantly erupting with an endless amount of crushing power that enveloped Long Fei. But at this time, Long Fei, who was wrapped in power, let out a furious roar. Incomparable rage and boundless struggle. Superfusion power, buried world. Explode for me. In the midst of his roar, a beam of light broke through the endless chaos, like a beam of light shining through the sky, illuminating the thousands of mountains and rivers, melting away the world's darkness. Rumble. One after another, the power of primordial chaos after another began to be annihilated. Disappeared. As for the Lord of all fiends, he had been instantly made aware of this as well. The body that had just merged with suddenly showed signs of collapsing. No, impossible. The burial ground. Impossible, it's impossible for Long Batian to leave this power to you. Moreover, this power is even more violent than Long Batian's. I don't believe it. Annihilation of the primordial chaos, suppress me. The Lord of Chaos roared in anger, crushing him with all his might. However, this power was incapable of suppressing the power of the buried world. In an instant, it was dispersed by the light of the heavens. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Boom. In an instant, the entire unknown land was completely annihilated as a surging power pierced through the divine space. The Lord of Primal Chaos's eyes were filled with unwillingness. He glared at Long Fei, killing intent brewing within them. However, he didn't dare to act rashly. And it was also at this time that the light of day dissipated, and the berserking power that Long Fei had exploded out also disappeared without a trace. The Lord of all Fiends had a look of delight in his eyes. Ha ha, you're done exploding, right? What a strong power, what a pity, how can a trash like you control it? If I kill you, everything will be mine. The Lord of all Fiends laughed loudly as he once more gathered his power. And at this time, Long Fei's figure heavily fell from the sky. His expression was calm, neither sad nor happy. He did his best. Right when Long Fei's body was about to hit the ground, a familiar voice sounded once again. Ding. Congratulations to the player for triggering the quest. Ding. Congratulations player for triggering the quest. Long Fei was startled. A light burst out of his murky eyes. A dead end. Life again. In his despair, this was a lifesaver. In his despair, this was a lifesaver. At this moment, this crisp system prompt was more wonderful than any other sound in the world. Ding. Please select whether you wish to enter the Yang God realm. The system prompted. System, can you consider this trip to the Sun God realm as a secret world? In the system space, Long Fei asked. Because right now, Long Fei could not just leave. If the Lord of the Primal Chaos doesn't die, Long Fei definitely wouldn't let go of his woman and his son and escape on his own. This was not his style. If so, he would suffer for the rest of his life. Therefore, if he was saved like this, he could only save himself. Long Fei would definitely give up. In theory, it is a task point, so it can be considered a secret world. The system responded. Then can we bring people in? Long Fei asked quickly. This was the question he was most concerned about. This was a crucial point, being able to directly dictate Long Fei's decision. If the system gave him a negative answer, Long Fei would definitely give up on this opportunity. He chose to walk together with his female brothers towards the end. The host can choose to bring people in. But the difficulty of the mission will increase. The system replied. All right. Enter immediately. Long Fei decisively said. Without the slightest hesitation. He didn't care about the difficulty of the mission at all. As long as he could get out of this predicament, nothing would be a problem. Boop. Boom. Following Long Fei's words. Instantly, a profound light fell from the sky. It just happened to cover Liu Luoshi and the rest completely. And then he instantly disappeared. Even Long Fei was the same. He disappeared immediately. It was completely silent. At the same time, the Lord of all Fiends' attack arrived before them as well, but it missed in the blink of an eye. Disappeared? No, that's impossible. Who is it? Who is fighting against this reputed one? Who exactly is it? Ah, come out for me. The Lord of Primordial Chaos was enraged. He couldn't control it. Everything was for the sake of this final harvest. His own body fusion was one aspect, but getting Long Baishan's secret, as well as the power of the system, was his final goal. But now it was all for naught. How could he not be angry? However, it was useless. Long Fei had already disappeared, and everything was over. Long Fei naturally did not know that his disappearance had actually set off a riot in the Bedlam lands, which resulted in a bifurcation. And then there was Long Fei. Under the enveloping of the system's light, Long Fei's entire being fell into a coma. A few indistinct sounds entered his ears. Where did this trash come from? I don't have a single bit of cultivation base on my body. He should be a fleshly body cultivator. Between a martial saint and a worldly immortal, he could be considered an absolute expert. Expert my ass, now that Long Fei has risen up, His physical body has shattered the void and overturned the sacred emperor of the central world. Yes, Long Fei's strength is simply berserk. His flesh shattered the void, and his soul tribulation lightning struck 5 times. Rumor has it that in a few days, he will be able to attain the sun god's Tao fruit and cross the other shore. One voice after another appeared in Long Fei's mind. In his confusion, Long Fei slowly opened his eyes. Everything around them was unfamiliar. In fact, they were unable to see through the cultivation bases of these people. However, Long Fei had a feeling that if they acted tough in front of him, he could kill them with a slap. Suddenly, Long Fei's eyes flashed. His mind immediately cleared up. At the first moment, Long Fei looked around for Liu Luoshi and the rest. But he didn't see it at all. Other than these strangers, there was no one else in the surroundings. Not here. Could it be that they were separated when they entered this world? Long Fei guessed, hesitating. He couldn't help but feel worried. It had to be known that before these people entered the young god realm, they had already fallen into a coma and had no power to self-destruct. After arriving in this strange world, if something unexpected happened, he would be in danger. System, how much cultivation do I have left? Long Fei asked. Before he came here, he had used all of his strength. The system had already warned him that if he fused all of his power would disappear. That was why he asked. Ding, player's body has started to mutate. Their current strength level has not changed. Strength system. Ding, congratulations, player body leveled up, beginner body of supreme body. Ding, congratulations, player blood vein leveled up, unparalleled among beginner blood vein. Ding, congratulations, player bone leveling up, beginner immortal bone sovereign. Ding, congratulations, player. Everything had leveled up, from the body of the blood vein, acupoints to bone marrow. Long Fei stared blankly. He did not know when such a change had occurred. Could the system be pitiful? You think you can give me benefits because I have nothing left? Long Fei thought, then began to comprehend his own strength. But, in an instant, Long Fei was enraged. What F***king benefits were these? It was simply skinning. Because he had swept his eyes across the pubes, Long Fei realized that the root of the great Tao within the pubes had disappeared. There was no more. It was empty, with nothing left. It had to be known that this was a superpower-derived bug. Regardless of whether it was a weapon or skill, it could mutate through the root of the great Tao and burst forth with an even more violent power. But now, all of them had disappeared. Suddenly, Long Fei felt extremely unhappy. However, there was nothing he could do about it. The pubes' great Tao roots had already completely disappeared, and replacing it with the increase in attributes of his entire body was not bad. With that thought, Long Fei retracted his mind. He looked ahead. Just now you guys said that Long Fei wants to become a sun god. Could it be that we have already entered the tomb of the high scholars? Long Fei asked. The graveyard of suns was the most transcendent existence in the world of the sun god. It was Hong Yi who became a sun god, surpassing the land of the sun god. They were filled with endless mysteries. As he thought of the many masters of the young god world, the holy artifact of the eternal kingdom who controlled the good fortune boat in their hands, Long Fei felt an itch in his heart. Now, he was so poor that he needed a bunch of powerful people to fill his treasury. But just as Long Fei finished speaking, he was immediately laughed at by a group of people. He laughed without restraint. All of their eyes looked at Long Fei as if he were a clown. Have you gone stupid? What else? What tombs? Do you think this is still the time of the Ezekiel? Children's graveyard? Haha, this old man is going to die from laughter. You must be pretending to be stupid, right? To the eyeballs. No wonder you asked Long Fei the moment you opened your mouth. Is he someone a piece of trash like you can even hope to match up to? A mere martial saint does not have the qualifications to know so much. Be a good boy and don't ask too much. The mocking voices continued. But when it entered Long Fei's ears, he did not know whether to laugh or cry. Exactly, there are many martial arts trainings of martial saints. He wasn't even a worldly immortal, yet he still dared to guess at an expert like Long Fei? How reckless. That's right, Long Fei is renowned throughout the imperial court, and is something that you can ask about. That's right. Furthermore, it is said that Long Fei is an extraordinary hero, that even the princesses of the imperial court think highly of him and have already searched the entire city to propose marriage to him. As for you, you are not even fit to carry Long Fei's shoes. Another wave of sarcasm. Long Fei was stunned. Long Fei was stunned. However, he couldn't feel any anger in his heart. Because the Long Fei they were referring to, if there were no accidents, should be his own mission body, and that remnant spirit had entered. Only, Long Fei never thought that he would become so awesome in such a short amount of time. It had already become the belief of these people to be a reference that they used to belittle themselves. This made Long Fei speechless. The one who praised was him, and the one who mocked was also him. Even if Long Fei wanted to be angry, he really couldn't find an excuse. Forget it, the most important thing is to find Luoxi and the others first. Long Fei couldn't be bothered to care too much about it. He turned around and left. But at this moment, a voice from the crowd moved his heart. How awesome do you think you are? Wasting my time. I heard that the descendant of Yi Zhu was just about to come out of seclusion and fight with Long Fei for the chance to prove his worth. There's going to be a huge battle going on, and if he misses it, it would be King disgusting. Not only that, there are also many other heirs of the ancient sacred emperor Ji, Pan, and Hong that have also reached this stage. Right now, they are all gathered at the bottom of the Chilean cliff, in an attempt to fight for the current world. Ha ha ha, just thinking about it makes me excited. However, I am still Long Fei who believes in me. As Long Fei listened, a glint flashed across his eyes. Looks like the mission has come to the end, Hong Yi's successor. And there's even a successor of the ancient sacred emperor. Awesome, awesome. This is naked experience. There are also supreme treasures. Mine, it's all mine. Long Fei laughed crazily in his heart, he was extremely excited. Suddenly, Long Fei remembered a bridge in his previous life on Earth. Ask what happiness is. The current Long Fei finally understood that the true essence of life was that extremely simple answer. If you slept, you would have a pillow. If you wanted to level up, someone would send you food. If you were poor, someone would send you a magical equipment. That was happiness. But there was one thing. Long Fei could not tolerate it. Her gaze turned towards the muscular man who was talking about how he admired Long Fei previously, and her chrysanthemum instantly tightened. No, I have to kill him. Even if you're a fan. Long Fei thought in his heart, and did not speak anymore. They followed behind the crowd and moved forward together. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. On the way, the weather changed as people walked and stopped. Long Fei was also slowly adapting to his current cultivation level. For some reason, Long Fei had a feeling that he was extremely awesome. Even if they met worldly immortals, if they met an expert at the early stage of the Void Crusher, they would be torn to shreds. Is this really invincible, or is it just an illusion? Time and time again, Long Fei's heart held a little doubt. This kind of feeling, even in the divine space, ancient world had never appeared before. Am I really that amazing right now? Can I tear apart a worldly immortal? Long Fei hesitated. As he thought this, his gaze locked onto a person in the crowd. And worldly immortals were also incomparably strong. Blood and qi roiled, his physical body was invincible. Apart from experts who could shatter the void, they were invincible. When looked at it like this, he naturally felt it in his heart. In the blink of an eye, their gazes met. Brat, what are you trying to do? The man immediately stopped and turned to face Long Fei. Su. Instantly, the people around Long Fei all dodged away, their faces were filled with panic and disbelief as they looked at Long Fei. Why is this idiot following us? I originally thought that he was just trying to attract attention. But I didn't expect that he was really lacking something, to the point that he even dared to provoke worldly immortals. The martial saint and the worldly immortal may seem like they are of the same realm, but they are at the same level. The difference between the mortal and the mortal is like that of an immortal. This kid is truly courting death. Without any explanation, everyone immediately moved out of the way. She looked at Long Fei with a pitiful expression. It was as if in the next moment, Long Fei would be smashed into pieces. Nothing, I'm just unhappy with you. What? Is that not okay? Long Fei replied. Confess. Impossible. Moreover, Long Fei was indeed very unhappy, if not, he would not have set his gaze on him. This was an extremely special sensation, as if he was born hostile. It caused Long Fei's blood and bone marrow to be filled with itch. It is as if I want to eat him alive. Unhappy. Ha ha ha, what a shame. This is the first time I've left the mountain, but I didn't expect that I would run into so many suicidal scoundrels. But, good. Your physical body is not weak either. Including you, there are already 6 of you. When that time comes, we will shatter the void and move one step further. As the worldly immortal said this, his eyes turned cold. Unknowingly, when he was talking about the 6 of them, the image of Zhong Yu and the rest appeared in Long Fei's mind. In that instant, rage raged in his heart. This was a subconscious reaction. It was neither a guess nor a deduction. It was a type of spiritual return, a thought. However, Long Fei didn't dare bet. They would rather believe it to be true than not. If King Kong and the others really fell on this person's body, the consequences would be unimaginable. Thinking of this, killing intent also exploded in Long Fei's eyes. Very good, then I'll give you a chance to bring me to the people you've captured. Perhaps I'll give you a chance to live. Long Fei said coldly. The moment he said this, everyone's expressions changed. If this sentence came from a worldly immortal, they wouldn't be surprised at all. But unfortunately, those words came from Long Fei's mouth. This was a bit intriguing. No, it should be shocking. There was no logic in it at all. It was reasonable that the powerhouse could crush the weak. But, for an ant to want to turn the tables around, in their eyes, was laughable and unbelievable. Did I hear wrongly? Is this kid so arrogant? If the heavens want him to die, they will definitely make him go crazy. This kid is dead for sure. How could a worldly immortal be so easily provoked? I already expected this kid to die without a burial ground. The surrounding people said. No one was optimistic about Long Fei, even though it was Mo Lu, they were all standing by the worldly immortal stage expert's side. Suddenly, a cry of surprise erupted from the crowd. I remember now. This is true Monarch 100 Slaughter, from the legend of Demon King Black Wolf. Instantly, it stirred up 1,000 ripples. It's him. Ah, this kid is dead for sure. Definitely. Do you think that Master Bai Tu's reputation is a joke? All of a sudden, all the voices turned towards the 100 Slaughter True Lord in unison. No one was concerned about Long Fei. In their eyes, they didn't even need to pay attention to a dead person. True Lord 100 Slaughter looked pleased with himself as he took a step forward. Did you hear that, kid? You are nothing more than an ant. To be able to die at my hands is also your good fortune. The power of the apocalypse. Apocalyptic claw, explode. Space exploded. Space exploded. Endless killing intent and cold chi swept over. Long Fei's gaze locked onto the attack. He remained silent and didn't move. But just as the claw was about to reach him, Long Fei moved. His entire body felt like it was on fire. All his cells were activated. Just like the highest realm of the sun god world, the physical body had become a particle of true essence, and in that instant, all of it began to stir. Swish. His eyes were like fire as he instantly put the claw into his eyes. Then, his fists moved. He casually created a trajectory. The speed of Old Fei's punch was extremely slow, so slow that everyone could clearly see it. At that moment, countless people were also sighing, thinking that Long Fei was definitely going to die without a doubt, and wasn't affected in the slightest. However, at that moment, a cry of alarm rang out. It was the 100 Slaughter True Lord. Brat, you. True Master 100 Slaughter was astonished beyond compare as his claws were tightly held by Long Fei. No matter how much strength he used, he was unable to break free. I'll give you one more chance. Tell me the whereabouts of the people you mentioned earlier and I'll spare your life. Long Fei said with a smile on his face. But in his heart, he was incomparably arrogant. This time, it finally proved that he wasn't mistaken. Worldly immortal? He was just a piece of trash. With a casual grab, he was immediately controlled. Long Fei even felt that if he used his power, he would be able to instantly kill this worldly immortal stage expert. Brat, don't be complacent, this king's methods are not something you can imagine. If you know what's good for you, release this reputed one now and we will part ways here. Otherwise, I will use a divine treasure to crush you. True Lord White Slaughterer was a famous expert after all, he didn't want to give up just like that. He was still as arrogant as before. But just at this moment, his expression changed. It was incomparably painful. KCHA. Asterisk with Long Fei's slight exertion of force, the 100 Slaughter True Lord fell to his knees. All 5 claws were severed. Not a single finger was left. Ah, boy, I will kill you. True Master White Slaughterer was incomparable furious. His eyes turned blood red in an instant. In addition, his body began to change. It was like a wild beast, full of explosive power and impact. However, Long Fei was not afraid. POW. True Lord White Slaughter was sent flying with a slap. Boom. Boom. Bang. True Lord White Slaughterer's body was flipped over hundreds of miles in an instant. Even a worldly immortal body would find it hard to defend against his rampage. Along the way, the beast blood surged. By the time his figure landed on the ground, he was already on the verge of death. More air in and out. Whiz. Long Fei's figure closely followed, and instantly landed by his side. Boom. Asterisk a stomp. Now, you still have a chance. Long Fei said indifferently. He was incomparably arrogant. I admit defeat, I'll bring you to them. In an instant, True Master White Slaughterer had lost all of his temper. He didn't dare to say a single word. Long Fei's power was not something that he could compare with. This kind of body completely exceeded the realm of a worldly immortal. Almost invincible. Instantly, everyone in the air looked at Long Fei, their expressions changing. There was no sound at all. Especially those who had previously mocked Long Fei, their faces were all full of fear and incomparable embarrassment, as if they had eaten feces. They were afraid that Long Fei would settle the score. Long Fei looked around indifferently. His acupoints surged and a berserk aura emanated from them. Puff puff puff. In the blink of an eye, dozens of people all vomited blood and died. Long Fei acted as if nothing had happened and turned around silently. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing passerby from the Sun God realm. You have obtained 50,000 experience, 500 holy source points, and 1 striking value point. Ding. Ding. System beeps kept appearing, and Long Fei also instantly felt refreshed. Previously, he already knew that even though his body strength had changed, and he had leveled up completely, the holy source was already empty. Now that he had been replenished, he looked completely new. Lord of the Chaos and the Celestial Emperor, just you wait. This time, when I get back, you'll all sing conquer. Instantly, Long Fei's heart surged. The feeling of returning to the tens of thousands of waves instantly filled his heart. Shua shua shua. It was also at this moment that all eyes in this world were withdrawn. Infinite reverence. Infinite worship. Let's go. Long Fei could not be bothered either. He grabbed the 100 Slaughter True Lord and turned to leave. At this moment, on an unknown peak far away, a figure was standing against the wind. Real face, when will you be here? I have already sensed your presence. Hurry up. Otherwise, my path to the Sun God wouldn't be that easy to traverse. A green robe fluttered with the wind. It was as though he had left the world and was filled with desolation. At the peak of the mountain, there were numerous silhouettes moving about, one after another. The leader was a woman. A peerless beauty with unparalleled grace. She wore a phoenix coronet and dress, making her look incomparably cold. He was like a heavenly emperor. Moreover, Her cultivation was also very powerful. The world could no longer tolerate the energy of heaven and earth outside her body. Long Fei, do you think you can escape? You stole my good fortune, and even ruined my reputation. Today, I will not stop at your young god path, and will not be a descendant of ancestor Yi. The woman spoke coldly as she raised her head to look at the peak of the mountain. Then, he leaped. The scene turned back to Long Fei. Master Bai Tu was as obedient as a servant. On the way, he flattered Long Fei extremely well and paid his respects to him. Obviously, he was afraid. How much longer? Long Fei asked with an impatient tone. My lord, soon, soon. Beyond this mountain is where this old servant cultivates. Master Bai Tu pointed to the front with a respectful expression. After he finished speaking, Long Fei was already impatient. With a leap, he leapt hundreds of miles into the air. As for Master Bai Tu, he watched Long Fei's disappearing figure and the expression on his face gradually changed. All forms of flattery and respect were just a disguise. Ha ha, kid, you've been tricked. If you are to fight against this sovereign, you are still too far away. Wolf King Xiao Tian, the apocalypse has arrived. Seal it for me. True Lord Hundred Slaughter gave a loud laugh, appearing incomparably arrogant. He instantly howled towards the sky. Soon after, countless black shadows swarmed in from all directions, surrounding the entire mountain peak in the blink of an eye. Looking down from the sky, looking for the King Kong, the corner of Long Fei's mouth twitched. A hint of coldness burst out. You're courting death, don't blame me for not showing mercy. Besides, I will not refuse such a gift of experience. Long Fei said in his heart as he suddenly turned around. Haha, you're awesome. You're awesome. Haha, you're awesome. If you enter this old man's territory, if you are a dragon, then you have to be tricked. Right now, your destiny is to subdue them, just like mine, a pack of wolves. It was as if the victory was within his grasp and he was extremely arrogant. It was also at this time that countless black figures flashed past the sky, and directly dashed towards Long Fei. Long Fei scoffed, and immediately threw out a punch as he turned around. Boop! Rumble, rumble, rumble. An instant burst of power. Violent power seeped out from within every single one of Long Fei's body parts and hairs. Each of the auras transformed into a sharp blade. With a punch, howls sounded out, and hundreds of black wolves died. Strength was the only thing that Long Fei believed in and the only thing that he was sure to win. Strength was the only thing that Long Fei believed in and the only thing that he was sure to win. In front of absolute strength, all schemes and tricks were just like a clown jumping beams. Just like now, countless of wolves had become Long Fei's experience potions, not refusing at all. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The entire space shook from Long Fei's massacre. After a series of howls from the wolves, the entire space became stained with blood. In the blink of an eye, the number of black wolves that had died at Long Fei's hands was beyond count. The whole world had turned blood red. The mountains below them had been dyed red by the blood of wolves, and their blood had turned into rivers. Ha ha ha, okay, 100 slaughter fungi, you are here to deliver your father's nutrition. Anything else? Another wave, I'll make a pot with it and have a mushroom stew. Don't stop. Long Fei laughed loudly. This was a gift, no explanation. Moreover, it seemed that the young Godrealm's experience had become much easier. Each black wolf gave Long Fei 50,000 experience points. In a short period of time, Long Fei accumulated more than 3 billion experience. It was an increase that could almost be seen with the naked eye. It has to be said that leveling up now only required 60 billion experience. In just a moment, it was already worth 3 billion. This change once again ignited the passion in Long Fei's heart back then, and he impulsively looked for mountains to crazily level up. But at this moment, the black shadows that filled the sky had already disappeared. True Lord Hundred Slaughter's expression had long since changed. It's impossible to shatter the void. Even shattering the void isn't that powerful. Could it be the hidden sun god? Master Bai Tu said in shock. As he spoke, he turned and fled. Too terrifying. The skill that he had relied on to survive was actually broken by Long Fei just like that. How could he fight? There was only one path in front of him. That was running. However, it was too late. In an instant, Long Fei's figure seemed to have traversed across the sky. In a single step, he had directly arrived in front of Master Bai Tu. And then, he turned around and struck out with his palm. Boom. Asterisk puff. True Master White Slaughter's body was instantly smashed apart by Long Fei's fist. He could not even find a single piece of his complete body. They all died. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing True Monarch 100 Slaughter, obtaining 1 million experience points, 100,000 holy source points, and 1 striking value point. Ding. Congratulations player for obtaining Apocalyptic War Axe. Ding. Congratulations player for obtaining Apocalypse Cloak. Ding. Congratulations player for obtaining the Iron Pagoda Handsome Seal. Ding. Congratulations player obtained. The system's voice rang out. It was incomparably savage. Even without using striking value, Long Fei was still exceptionally satisfied with his gains. Putting aside experience, the rewards were indeed considerable. Even the 3 treasures that he had obtained were more formidable than the previous treasures. Striking value, explode, Long Fei said. His striking value had already been accumulated completely from killing countless black wolves. It had to be known that this was the skill that Long Fei lacked the most. The strength of his fleshly body was strong. If it was matched with strength, wouldn't he be even more powerful? Ding. Congratulations on obtaining a skill, Pagoda Seal, no advanced. Would you like to learn it? Hearing that, Long Fei laughed. It was totally just following his heart. What he wanted was a skill. The system did not disappoint him at all. Immediately, Long Fei looked at his techniques column, Pagoda Seal, none superior. Attribute, suppression, crush. Description, one thought of the world of Pagoda. Can be upgraded. Current level, 1, experience, 150,000. A brand new skill icon appeared. In addition, skills could be upgraded. As for damage, there was no need to mention it. Without a superior, it was easy to imagine. Awesome. Haha, system, you are my dear lord. After I transcend, I will definitely kowtow to the creator of the system. This world of the sun god is a complete platform for me to rise to prominence. Long Fei was extremely excited. He couldn't control himself at all. Just thinking about it made him extremely excited. One had to know that an existence like True Lord White Slaughter was nothing more than a minor existence in the world of the sun god. By the time he reached the very end, would he really become the sun god and return to the divine space? Wouldn't he still be invincible? The more he thought about it, the more excited Long Fei became. Suddenly, a weak aura appeared from afar and was immediately caught by Long Fei. King Kong! Long Fei's heart stirred. Suppressing the excitement in his heart, he turned around and looked in the direction of the aura. Following that, a fist shot out, directly sending a small mountain flying. It revealed an enormous pill furnace. Alchemy! Long Fei's heart froze as he remembered what Master Bai Tu said before. A sudden burst of coldness. Boo! With a punch, the lid of the pill furnace was flipped over. Su su su. Instantly, one figure after another jumped out from it. F***K, your father is F***King dead. Damn it, I'm so full. If it wasn't for the fact that I ate so many spiritual medicines and my cultivation recovered, I might have been roasted into a suckling pig. Ari, what a blessing in disguise. No, we can't let that son of a B***tch get away with it. We have to kill him. One rough voice after another sounded out with incomparable madness and killing intent. But suddenly, they stopped at the same time. Then, he was overjoyed. Boss, haha, I was talking about someone so familiar. I didn't expect the boss to be here. The 6 of them were Li Yuanba, Chen Tianfei, Zhong Yu, Li Wuxin and Lin Yusheng. Long she chuckled. I never would have thought that the two of you would come together first. It would be quite easy for me to find you. Long Fei said. Boss, ha ha ha, we didn't die. Moreover, I have a feeling that if we don't die this time, when we go back, they will definitely just die. Li Yuanbar was completely naked, he touched his explosive muscles and laughed sinisterly and crazily. Of course, Long Fei's face was also filled with determination. Suddenly, killing intent emerged from Lin Yusheng's body. Boss, what about that dog? To dare take this young master's alchemy, I will definitely eat him alive. Lin Yusheng said. You don't have a chance, because he's already been beaten up by me, your boss. Long Fei said as he pleased. In his heart, he felt extremely relaxed. The meeting of brothers was just like that year. Infinite madness, limitless arrogance, and infinite warmth. Only then did everyone react. Looking at the mountain range that had turned into a sea of blood, they looked at Long Fei, and all of them displayed expressions of you are abnormal, you are awesome. But no one said it out loud, afraid that Long Fei would become angry out of embarrassment. Long Fei slightly calmed down, suppressed the emotions in his heart, and asked, I wonder how the other people are doing. Right now, the first thing we have to do is gather all the people. Long Fei said. Since he could not find them, Long Fei was not at ease. Boss, I once felt a burst of advice that soared to the heavens. If I'm not wrong, it should be sister-in-law. Faintly, I also sensed that the thoughts coming from my eldest sister-in-law seemed to have something to do with some demon king of the demon race. The celestial spirit said. Long Fei's heart instantly went cold. There is no doubt about what the sky spirit said. Demon King's grandson? F***ck, I don't care who you are, but since you dare to hurt my woman, I will turn you all into corpses. The mountain range of the other shore. The place where the demons gathered. The mountain range of the other shore. The place where the demons gathered. Once upon a time, the mountains did not exist here. But in the young god realm, after Hong Yi, the first person to surpass the sun god, had transcended, the demons had gathered and merged into one entity, using great methods to establish a mountain range. He claimed to be on the other side. To become a transcendent existence, even the Central Imperial Court had to pay respect to him. It was because the monstrous clans were already incomparably powerful. Now that they were united, they were naturally one of the top powers in the world. But no matter how awesome, as far as Long Fei was concerned, there would not even be a single step backwards. On the contrary, he had an impulse. Boss, calm down. Legend has it that there are demon immortals in the demon clan and they are very powerful. Our cultivation can only match up to worldly immortals and lightning tribulations 4 times. We are no match for them. That's right, boss. I know you're awesome, but let's not rescue our eldest sister-in-law first. Li Yuanbar and the rest took the initiative to persuade Long Fei. Because they knew Long Fei too well. In the eyes of the endless demon race in the mountain range before his eyes, Long Fei was clear from his experience. If he did not take a bloodbath, then Long Fei would not be the one. They were afraid that Long Fei would be impulsive and directly rush over. Damn, in your heart, am I that unreliable? When we save Oya, we will meet again. Long Fei said in a serious tone. It was impossible to give up. Currently, leveling up was his top priority. There were tens of thousands of demon beasts in the entire other side of the mountain range. Furthermore, they were extremely powerful. Even the weakest of them was comparable to the black wolves controlled by Master Bai Tu. Therefore, to Long Fei, this was a paradise. An upgraded paradise. However, Long Fei was not brainless, and naturally knew that the first step was to save his woman, then proceed with his slaughter plan. And at this time, 2 demon clan members came rushing over. He dove down from the skies. How dare a lowly ant offend me, the mountains of the other shore? TSK, I didn't expect our luck to be so good, it's a blessing in disguise. 2 godly eagles descended from the sky. Golden. Boss. No, scales. The moment Long Fei saw this golden light, he had a feeling that it was a boss. However, when they got closer, they discovered that it was actually a divine falcon with scales on its body. Haha, my heart wasn't comfortable at first, but you actually let us patrol the mountain on a day of great joy. It seems that my luck isn't too bad. I coincidentally encountered you few ants, so I decided to give you a beating tooth sacrifice. A godly eagle spoke, and with a move of its sharp claws, it pounced towards the golden giant. There was still a simple and honest smile on the face of the King Kong. In that instant, it took a step forward and threw out a punch. Nice. Ayo! A blood-curdling screech filled the air. That figure's head instantly exploded, and countless scales fell from the sky. In a flash, they turned into a hairless, headless, scaleless natural barbecue. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing the divine eagle. You have obtained 40,000 experience, 400 holy source points, and 1 striking value point. The system's voice also appeared. At this time, Li Yuanba also laughed out loud. Ha ha ha, boss, we can't let it go to waste. Eat this one, and the other. We brothers will split it among ourselves. At that moment, Long Fei was at the center of the King Kong, the corners of his mouth twitched, and a hint of greed appeared as his gaze locked onto another condor. Swish! In an instant, the other eagle turned and fled without the slightest hesitation. But in an instant, the sky soul moved. The godly eagle floated and flashed, directly blocking the sky. Boom! Asterisk, the divine eagle dropped down from the sky with a single punch. Boom! Boom! Instantly, smoke and dust swirled about. The godly eagle immediately lost consciousness. A moment later, when he opened his eyes, the corner of his mouth was dripping with saliva. But suddenly, it was filled with incomparable terror. This was because in front of him, there were already 6 big men surrounding him. In each of his hands, he held a piece of roasted meat, eating it heartily. In the blink of an eye, the figure's neck tilted and fell to the ground. Hey, stop pretending, stand up and answer a few questions. If you answer well, then I don't mind letting you live. Long Fei said indifferently. This godly eagle was only a patrol soldier. The one that Li Yuanba killed just now also only had several tens of thousands of experience points. Killing it or not didn't have much of a difference. The key thing was Long Fei wanted to know from the other party the movements of the demon clan. Great sir, speak. As long as this little one knows about it, I will tell you everything I know. The godly hawk quickly said with a flattering smile. As for his companions being eaten, he didn't care at all. He even wanted to get a share of the spoils. Very good. Let me ask you, a few days ago, did a woman come to the other side of the mountain? Long Fei asked. Ah, sir, I don't know how to reply to that. In the eyes of the demons, the women of the human race are just tools for debauchery. Hundreds of them are being transported in every day. As the eagle spoke, its voice became softer and softer. Because, Long Fei and the others had the urge to kill him the moment they heard his answer. POW. Long Fei immediately slapped him. If not for Long Fei's restraint, they would have died a long time ago. Pick the point, you should know who I'm talking about. Long Fei said. Aoya was too special. She had the demeanor of a royal concubine, and her sword force was peerless. It was impossible for her not to be dazzling. Oh, sir, one of the 3 women you were talking about. If that was the case, he should hurry to the mountain. It is time for them to be forced to marry at noon. One of the women seemed to have the power of transformation. She was extremely powerful, and even the Heavenly Serpent clan was impressed by her power. If not for the fact that he was injured, even the Heavenly Serpent King might not have been his opponent. There is one more thing. With the purple gas surrounding its body, the starlight can be used. If not for the Golden Spider King spitting out the sky-covering net, we would not have been able to capture it. As for the last one, he became even stronger. He killed thousands of peacock experts with a single sword, and was then suppressed by the 5-colored divine light of the Peacock King. The godly eagle said, with a cautious look in its eyes, as if it was afraid that its words would make Long Fei unhappy. The godly eagle's desire to survive was extremely strong. It spoke everything out without saying a word. The more he listened, the more Long Fei's killing intent increased. Because the 3 women he was talking about, not a single one of them was bad, they were all his women. Liu Luoshi, Aoya, Yu Ru. They were all on the other side of the mountain, and they were all forced to marry. Peacock King? Sky Serpent Royal Family? The Golden Spider King? Very well, if I don't exterminate your family today, I won't be called Long Fei. Long Fei's chi shook, and then he moved. The man's head was immediately chopped off, and he turned into a dead hawk. F***CK. F***CK. I can't believe he's forcing his sister-in-law to do this. Eldest brother, you've overturned the other side of the mountain. That's right, boss absolutely cannot tolerate this, especially the peacock race. I feel that their meat must be very delicious, so I'll be contracting out a contract. Lin Yusheng said. Long Fei muttered to himself. Looking at the several people who were in the mood, he spoke in a light tone. Well, it's too late. Only the soldiers are divided into 3 paths. Yuan Ba, Thoughtless, you 2 go to the Sky Serpent clan. Sky Spirit, Yusheng, and Tianfei, go to the Golden Spider tribe. I'm going to the Peacock King's clan. Remember, don't give me any face, just kill. Time is no longer allowed. Time is no longer allowed. Since they were both his women, Long Fei would definitely not allow any of them to get hurt. Now, his heart had already suppressed boundless rage. The demon clan had already touched the reverse scale. His woman, his forbidden woman. Whoever touches him dies. All right, boss, don't worry. None of them will be able to escape today. Right, we don't need to give face to anyone, we'll screw whoever comes. Boss, we'll go first. The few of them said. They knew how important these people were in Long Fei's eyes, and did not dare to hesitate. Long Fei nodded heavily. Then he took a step forward and entered the mountains of the other shore. Mount Resurrection is divided into 8 areas, each occupied by a different demon immortal legacy zone. However, this place was vast and boundless. Rather than calling it a mountain, it was more like a region. Each mountain was hundreds of thousands of kilometers long. The 8 mountains were like 8 enormous pillars that supported the heavens. The first glance was enough to give Long Fei an inexplicable impulse. These 8 areas gave him an inexplicable sense of familiarity. 8 Heaven Pillar? 8 King Kong? Long Fei stared blankly at her as he had a faint guess in his heart. But this kind of guess had no basis to it, so Long Fei did not dare to jump to such a conclusion. Shaking his head, he calmed himself down and locked onto one of the mountains. At the peak of the Peacock King's mountain, each region had a landmark structure, upon which ancient demon immortals were the foundation. They had constructed a statue. It was so tall that it pierced through the clouds, and it was obvious at a glance. Peacock King? Peacock Immortal? Even if you are a true immortal, and have already become a sun god, I will still kill you. In a moment of carelessness, Long Fei took a step forward, directly traversing 10,000 kilometers, and arrived at the bottom of the Peacock Mountain. Right at this moment, a sudden change occurred. Su. In an instant, 2 beams of light shot out at the speed of an arrow. Moreover, it contained a special type of energy that could be used to train with the auras between heaven and earth. Long Fei turned, and immediately dodged. You still dare to dodge? A single human dares to come to my mountain of the other shore? Speak, who are you? What are you doing here? 2 peacocks appeared and blocked Long Fei. Long Fei raised his head and saw that the entire Peacock Mountain was decorated with lanterns and flowers. What is it? To the wedding, of course. What, are humans forbidden from entering? Long Fei said coldly. Long Fei did not want to waste time, even if he had to eliminate the Peacock demon race to save Aoya. It was already too late. Haha, to attend the wedding? You're nothing. A mere martial saint dares to come to my Peacock Mountain to participate in the wedding? Who gave you the qualifications? To come to Peacock Mountain, you must at least be a worldly immortal. You, a trash, are qualified to attend the wedding? You reckless fool. The 2 of them talked for a while, but could not hide it. His eyes were filled with disdain and mockery. In their eyes, Long Fei did not have the qualifications to come to Peacock Mountain. That was the nature of the world. The weak had never had the right to speak. Whoosh. Long Fei took a deep breath. It was the opposite. He didn't want to do it, not because he was afraid. I didn't want to waste time. However, it was inevitable. There was only one way out. That was, kill their way over. Thinking about it, Long Fei no longer had any concerns. Not qualified. Then I will start from the beginning to create a heaven-shaking scene. Didn't you want to marry your father's woman? Aren't we going to have a wedding? Then I will use the entire Peacock Mountain as my betrothal gift and take my woman away. As Long Fei thought about it, his eyes moved and he immediately took action. Boom. His fist punched out, directly smashing into the mountain gates of Peacock Mountain. Rumble. 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 The top of the entire Peacock Mountain had been directly smashed apart with just a single punch from Long Fei. Countless huge rocks fell and rumbled like an earthquake. As for the two peacocks, they were stunned. After being stunned, he became extremely angry. Just as he was about to make a move, he suddenly felt a monstrous pressure pouncing on him. No. Instantly, a blood-curdling screech filled the air. It was directly killed by Long Fei's fist. Following that, Long Fei's gaze turned as he took a step forward and flew directly into the Peacock Mountain. At this time, the entire Peacock Mountain was filled with people. There were many human powerhouse, countless demon clan members and some ancient legacies. After all, this was the wedding of the direct grandson of the Peacock King. Haha, I never thought that there would actually be such a peerless beauty within the human race, and one that is strong at that. In all of the Yang God realm, only Little Shen King is worthy. Yeah, Little Shen King blood vein has reverted back to its ancestor, so her strength is extraordinary. Her body has already shattered the void, and her soul has already experienced 3 thunder tribulations. Looking at the world, she is also a top genius. It's a perfect combination. In this world, there is not a second person who is worthy of it, except for King Shen. Everyone was full of praise and jubilant. Amongst the crowd, Little Shen Wang had an arrogant expression. Everyone's words made his heart jump with joy. He turned around and slowly walked into the arena. He was dressed in red clothes and stood beside him. Did you hear that? In the entire Yang God realm, other than me, no one can match up to you. You said your man would come and save you, but what about now? Where is your man? Obediently accept your fate. This king has taken a fancy to a woman, so there's no way he can escape. Little Shen King coldly said. At this moment, a king walked out of the peacock race. The auspicious hour has arrived. Newcomer, enter. Shua shua shua. Everyone's gazes immediately fixed on Little Shen King and his red-clothed figure. The person dressed in red was none other than Aoya. At this moment, the cultivation base of Oya was restrained and she could not move. He could only allow Little Shen King to control his strength as he walked towards the center step by step. I bow to the sacred ancient. A loud shout rang out, spreading far and wide. At the same time, the expression of Long Fei, who had already fought to the halfway point of the mountain, froze. His face grew colder. Damn you. You want to bow down, right? Then Laozi will destroy this statue. You think you can covet my woman? Break for me. Long Fei was furious to the extreme. Along the way, he had already advanced at his fastest speed, and his attack was absolute killing. His powerful physical body practically did not stop at all. All the way, all the way. But Peacock Mountain, there were too many peacocks here. They killed their way through, and one nest after another ended up dying. That was why it was delayed for so long. But now, there was no time. Long Fei was too lazy to continue killing, so he went straight for Berserk. Buddha Palm. Destroy. With a flip of his hand, Long Fei formed a seal and detonated the skill. Rumble. Rumble rumble rumble. Amidst the thunderous roars, an enormous imprint appeared out of nowhere, slamming down onto the statue at the peak of the Peacock Mountain. Boom. Boom. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The statue of the Peacock King instantly collapsed, shaking the entire Peacock Mountain. And where the Peacock King's clan was at the top of the mountain, the wedding abruptly came to an end. Who? You've got quite the guts to actually come here and make trouble for my Peacock King's clan. Instantly, little Shen King was enraged. As he turned around, his gaze was like lightning as he walked on air. At this moment, Oya's body began to tremble. Tears welled up in his eyes. Little Shen King's expression instantly changed. You're wild, man. Very good, since you still dare to come to my Peacock Mountain, let's eliminate him today. The entire Peacock Mountain was filled with terror. The entire Peacock Mountain was filled with terror. No one had expected such a sudden change at this time. Damn, someone is here to steal our marriage. I wonder who it is that has the guts to do so. Ha ha ha, this is a rare opportunity. If we can obtain the friendship of the Peacock King by killing this person, why not? Right, we'll wait for that person to appear. We'll make the first move, using him as a gift. We'll definitely obtain the Peacock King's respect. Countless of people in the guests suddenly had such thoughts. Vicious looks filled their eyes, and they began to laugh maniacally. They were all waiting for the arrival of Long Fei. And it was also at this time that Long Fei's figure directly crossed the air and arrived at the summit of the mountain. A trash of the martial saint level who isn't even a worldly immortal actually dares to climb the Peacock Mountain? A newborn calf is not afraid of a tiger. You are courting death. That's good too. This is our chance. Everyone looked at each other and prepared to make their move. Little Shen King was also stunned as he looked towards Aoya. Is this your man? A trash of the martial saint realm? The power of his soul is so weak that it can't be heard. Is this kind of existence worthy of fighting with me for a woman? Haha, this king is dying of laughter. In that case, this king will kill him right in front of you today. Little Shen King was so pleased that he did not even put Long Fei in his eyes. From his point of view, with Long Fei's strength, she was not worthy of his help. Any one of them could kill him. Ha ha ha, little Shen King does not need your help. Today, you are overjoyed, and this old one will do it for you. This old one will make our human race respect you a bit more, so as to avoid being ignorant and act recklessly while relying on your little cultivation. It was also at this time. Suddenly, someone walked out with a cold expression. Kid, this Peacock Mountain is not a place for you to behave atrociously. Obediently withdraw for me, the human powerhouse said coldly. He was incomparably proud and aloof. His aura also began to emanate from his body. It looks amazing. The experts from the other clans all had envious and resentful looks on their faces, as if someone else had taken the opportunity to do so. Their faces were filled with regret. But at the same time, all of them looked at Long Fei with a face full of pity. It was a feeling of complete indifference. It was like treating a dead man. Not at all. It was like a farce, not caring at all. Step down. If you don't die, how can I leave? Long Fei said coldly. He then turned around and dashed straight towards Aoya. Arrogant. What are you? You actually dare to talk to your father like that? The human powerhouse was furious. A cold light flashed in his eyes and the long sword in his hand appeared. Today, this old man will use the sword of a gentleman to teach you how to be a person. The human powerhouse said as he slashed the long sword in his hand. Swish. A cold beam of sword light directly crossed in front of Long Fei's chest. But Long Fei did not care about it at all. With a casual stretch of his left hand, he grasped the long sword in his hand and, as if he was dragging something, he grasped the long sword and walked forward step by step. The sword of a gentleman? Human powerhouse? So what? What does it have to do with me? Long Fei didn't care at all as he continued to lead the other party forward like a dog. You. The human powerhouse's expression changed greatly. He wanted to let go. However, it was already too late. A powerful force passed through the long sword and tightly locked his two hands together with the long sword. In addition, it was impossible for him to struggle. This was the suppressing force of the Buddha seal. No brat, What exactly did you do? Let go of this old man, otherwise. The human powerhouse was still clamoring. He simply did not believe that Long Fei could have such power. But at this moment, POW. Long Fei directly slapped it. Don't scream. Arrogant. Berserk. The two simple words instantly silenced the entire Peacock Mountain. There was really no sound at all. Following that, under everyone's shocked gaze, Long Fei walked forward step by step and arrived beside Aoya. He took Oya in his arms and held her in his arms. Little Shen King suddenly flew into a rage. It instantly exploded. But Long Fei did not care about it at all, completely ignoring it. Wife, I've been waiting for a long time. Long Fei smiled faintly. He was like a mysterious man with boundless charisma. Oya was instantly mesmerized. It won't be long, it's just nice. I knew you would come. Oya whispered. Compared to his previous cold demeanor, it was like a completely different person. Ah, you two are a dog couple, I will kill you all. Little Shen King was unable to contain his anger and shot out a beam of light with a flip of his hand. Golden Gungjin Sword Demon. Whiz. The baleful sword energy surged, instantly tearing through the air. He was going straight for Long Fei. Furthermore, with such a short distance, it would be extremely difficult even if he wanted to dodge. But to Long Fei, it was completely not. The hand holding the sword moved, instantly bringing the sealed human powerhouse up to his body. Fart. A sound echoed out, and a large hole appeared on the powerhouse's chest. The wound was neat and tidy, and it was possible to see with the naked eye how many sharp auras were wreaking havoc on his body. Ah, no. Little Shen King, save me. The human powerhouse began to wail. But Little Shen King had no reaction at all. At this moment. Boom. The human powerhouse's body directly exploded into hundreds of pieces. It was as if he had been slashed several hundred times in an instant. Long Fei's expression did not change. As the leader of all spirits, regardless of which plane or world it was in, Long Fei had his own beliefs and perseverance. Humans were unyielding. When a child is born, he should be unbridled and not live up to his will. However, this person loved to kneel and lick. Now that he died at the hands of the demon clan, it just so happened to be the right time to do so. Shameless. He actually used a human expert to block the sword for him. This trash. This time, this king shall see who you used to block it. Little Shen King raged. Block. How dare a feathered beast act so arrogantly? You touched my woman, but I didn't do anything. How dare you take the initiative? Do you think lousy is easy to bully? If I don't exterminate your peacock race today, I, Long Fei, will write the two words backwards. Long Fei was no longer suppressed. Now, Oya had been rescued. He didn't have the slightest hesitation. What Peacock King clan? What 8 great demon immortals? In his eyes, they couldn't even compare to a single strand of his woman's hair. Now, all reservations were gone. Then naturally, he had to do it next. What Long Fei didn't know was that with just a few words, he was able to calm down the entire space once again. Those who were eager to give it a try a moment ago were left speechless at this moment. Because the word Long Fei gave people a shock, a lot more than any Peacock King. Long Fei. He said his Long Fei. Heavens, didn't he want to become the sun god? How could he have come to the other side of the mountain? It's fake, right? It must be fake. These people whispered amongst themselves, but their eyes were already showing signs of fear and retreat. The shadow of a famous human tree. The shadow of a famous human tree. Long Fei had appeared out of nowhere, proud between heaven and earth. This was already an indisputable fact. Of the 9 heavens, the earth, and the 8 trigrams, who wouldn't be afraid? Therefore, Long Fei's name alone attracted endless sighs. They were scared. A bone-deep fear was expressed on his face. Even the people of the peacock race had expressions of horror on their faces. Little Shen King's attacks also came to an abrupt stop. Long Fei. Impossible. Long Fei is already about to become a young god. Is a trash like you able to compare to him? Everyone, Don't panic. Wait for this king to kill him. Counterfeit. Little Xian King was even colder. Long Fei was stunned, completely dumbstruck. For the first time, he felt that he was no better than a mission doppelganger. I didn't expect my clone to be so powerful, even my real face was treated as a fake. Long Fei thought helplessly in his heart. Hubby, what's going on? Could it be that there's another Long Fei in this world? Which is the most powerful kind? Oya asked, puzzled. It's fine, don't worry. No matter how amazing you are, I can't compare to you, old bull. Your cultivation base has been sealed, so I'll help you break it. Then I'll take you to kill people. Long Fei said softly, full of tenderness. No way, this power is the peacock race's innate talent, the heaven light locking heart technique. Unless the people from the Peacock King's clan attack, we will not be able to break it apart. Aoya said with a face full of hatred. It can't be undone. Long Fei frowned and placed his hand on Aoya's pubis's position, sensing it carefully. Afterwards, a stream of power was transmitted from his hand and directly entered Aoya's pubis's mum. Oya gave a stuffy snort, as if she was feeling extremely comfortable. However, this voice instantly put Long Fei in an awkward position. He looked at Aoya with a devilish expression, as if he didn't want to finish yet. Oya's face immediately turned red. Ha ha ha, my wife will wait for the night, wait till I finish these people for you. Since the venue is already prepared, we might as well treat it as our wedding night. Long Fei laughed and released Aoya. As for Oya, she was blushing and did not say a word. Suddenly, the aura around Oya's body shook, and a towering sword intent appeared. His cultivation base was directly lifted. It's been solved. Hubby, your strength is getting stronger and stronger. He was overjoyed to stay up all night. To a cultivator, power was everything. Especially Aoya. How could such a strong sword force King Kong not care? Hubby, I'll fight with you. His eyes were firm and his killing intent overflowed to the heavens. There's no need. You just watch. Today, I'm going to dye the entire mountain in blood. Long Fei said softly, and then pulled Aoya to his side. He turned his gaze and directly locked onto Little Xian King. Little Xian King's pupils constricted all of a sudden. It was as if some sort of power had absorbed his mind, causing a great terror to spread. No, impossible. It must be an illusion. How could a trash like you possess such power? Golden Gungjin Sword Demon. Verdant Wood Sword Aura. Aquatic Sword Aura. Ding Hua Sword Demon. Soaring Earth Sword, Baleful Chi. Explode. Instantly, Little Xian King's attacks rumbled as the 5 types of sword intent brewed in his hand before instantly blasting outwards. Long Fei's eyes congealed as he focused his mind. Within the Sun God world, the immortal Peacock Mysteries methods were incomparably tyrannical. It had once suppressed Hong Yi to an unimaginable degree. They naturally wouldn't dare to underestimate this sort of method, given that it had been passed down for generations. Buddha Seal. Subdue. Long Fei had no choice but to use the Buddha Seal. There was nothing against it. Right now, he only had one skill. This was the only way. Under Long Fei's control, the Buddha Seal floated around the entire Peacock Mountain. It was incomparably huge. The 5 types of baleful chi from the 5 types of swords also surged. 5 types of auras and 5 types of energies instantly fused together, implicating each other and merging together. Directly facing the Pagoda Seal. Idiot, this king's 5-element sword, baleful chi, can't kill anything. Even worldly immortals would be killed with a single sword strike. You, a trash of the martial saint realm, dare to attack. They even dare to use divine abilities. Break for me. Little Xian King had an extremely disdainful expression. He was extremely confident in his own strength. Boo! The 2 forces instantly fused into one. To contend with each other. The first level of the Buddha was even stupider than the 5 elements sword. No, The pagoda seal still has to be upgraded. It can even be used to suppress the void and lightning tribulations experts. Long Fei thought. His eyes turned cold. In an instant, the Buddha seal was instantly removed. The little Xian King's expression turned joyful. Haha, no way. Trash is trash. Forget about you being an imposter. Even if you are the real Long Fei, I will still kill you today and replace you with my Peacock King clan's name. Haha, 5 elements sword kill. Little Xian King was extremely furious and was unable to contain his joy. However, in the next moment, the expression on little Xian King's face froze. Because at this moment, Long Fei, who did not have the Buddha seal, directly went up on stage personally. A pair of hands stretched out into the void. One pull, one fold. Boop. Boom. The Gungjin sword demon vanished in a puff of smoke. With just this little bit of strength, he can slash through anything. Long Fei said in disdain. The reason why he removed the Buddha seal was because of an intuition in his heart. It was just like how he treated true Lord White Slaughterer in the beginning. With just his physical body, he could rip it apart. And now, as expected, it didn't disappoint him. Kwong, how arrogant are you? Kill your father. I gave you face, didn't I? With that, Long Fei waved his hands. Rip. Another sword kill was directly ripped apart by Long Fei. And at this time, Long Fei took another step forward. Little Xian King. Ancestral blood vein. Trash. Boop. Boom. Another wave of baleful sword force was scattered by Long Fei. You actually dare to act so arrogantly in front of me, your father? Now that you have lost the power of the baleful sword, what qualifications do you have to be so arrogant in front of me? Bang bang. With one sentence, Long Fei immediately destroyed a strand of sword chi. After which, he stood there proudly. The 5 elements sword's baleful chi was completely annihilated. Little Xian King's face was already devoid of blood, as he looked towards Long Fei, and no longer had the courage to attack. He turned around and was about to escape. However, Long Fei would never give him that chance. In the instant that little Xian King escaped, the Buddha seal appeared and directly suppressed his opponent. It was like a giant mountain, cutting off all escape routes. Long Fei's fist followed closely behind. It was extremely violent, and directly smashed towards it. Boop. Boom. Boom. With a single punch, little Xian King's body exploded. Its 4 limbs were all broken, and all the feathers on its body were destroyed by a single fist, turning it into a hairless peacock. No, don't kill me. I believe you, you are Long Fei. Long Fei, Lord Long, you are someone who wants to become a young god, don't bother with me. Patriarch Yi Zhu once had a rule, he wants my clan's legacy to be kept. I am the only successor. If you kill me, I'm afraid it will be even more difficult to become the young holy general. Little Xian King opened his mouth to beg for mercy with a dejected expression, like a dog that had lost its home. Long Fei sneered, but did not stop. Begging for mercy? It was useless to beg. If begging for forgiveness was useful in some matters, then what was the point in cultivating it? The moment when you beat up my woman, this conclusion has already been decided. As for the rules you spoke of, none of my business. If I want to become a deity, I will be the ruler of transcendence. I will have to make my own rules. Explode. The air vibrated, and a violent power wreaked havoc. The air vibrated, and a violent power wreaked havoc. Regarding little profound King's begging, Long Fei didn't care in the slightest. With a single punch, he directly severed the head of little Xian King, shattering the void. 4 thunder tribulations. The same was true for killing. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing little Xian King. You have obtained 240 million experience, 240,000 holy source points, and 1 striking value point. Ding. Congratulations player for obtaining Peacock Immortal Blood. Ding. Congratulations player for obtaining 5 elements sword baleful chi. Ding. Congratulations player for obtaining cultivation technique, Akalantha seal. Long Fei listened quietly. The excitement in his heart could no longer be expressed in words. He was certain that little Shen King wasn't a boss. However, even so, it was much more abundant than the items given by the Divine Space's boss. Ha ha ha, great. Cultivate, cultivate, cultivate everything. The Sun God's space is a place where I can fly. Come on, let's just let Berserk come at us more violently. The craziness in Long Fei's eyes exploded, and in the blink of an eye, he looked at the person who revealed his killing intent to him before. Since it had already begun, how could it possibly end right now? Besides, staying up late had been rescued. He was even more fearless. Now, it's your turn. Long Fei said coldly. In an instant, everyone on Peacock Mountain panicked. Long Fei's words directly affected their minds. Master Long Fei, we didn't do anything. We are all innocent. That's right, the Peacock King's clan is very powerful. In order to survive, we had no choice but to come. Yes, that's it. Now that the human race has a hero like Master Long Fei, there is hope for the rise of our human race. Master Long Fei, as long as you give the order, we will immediately attack and destroy this peacock race together with you. Many experts voiced out their opinions. At this moment, whether it was the human experts or the hermit clans, they all stood by Long Fei's side without hesitation. His eyes were full of fear. It was an absolute prostrate. One had to know that among them, only a few of them could match up to little Shen King in cultivation. The vast majority of them were merely worldly immortals, and they were even 1 grade lower than little Shen King. Right now, even little Shen King had been killed with a single punch in front of Long Fei. Which of them dared to disobey? Unfortunately, they had underestimated Long Fei. He had overestimated his own value. It's useless. If I want to destroy Peacock Mountain, I alone will suffice. Don't you like to kneel and lick? Didn't they just say that they wanted to use your father's head as a congratulatory gift for the peacock race? What is it? You don't need it now. Long Fei mocked him sarcastically, as if he did not care at all. This kind of kneeling and licking attitude made Long Fei feel very bad. Since he was unhappy, he had to vent. In any case, for people like them who were kneeling or living, perhaps it was just a waste of the cultivation resources of the human race. Immediately, the entire Peacock Mountain went silent. Everyone went silent, not one of them daring to speak. However, it was at this point that a terrifying aura spread out across all heaven and earth. It erupted from the center of Peacock Mountain. Boom! It was extremely vigorous, as if the power of the entire Peacock Mountain was contained within. Darkness shrouded the entire area from the center, shooting up into the horizon. Suddenly, a ray of light appeared. The 7-colored profound light shone brightly in the sky. It shot down from the void. What an arrogant brat. Where did you get this opportunity to mess around with my Peacock Mountain? Since you killed my royal family's inheritance, today, I'll use your life to pay for it. In the middle of the air, a silhouette appeared. It's the previous Peacock King. The rumors are fake. Who said that the Peacock King had long disappeared into thin air upon reaching the Sun God realm? Who said that he died under the effects of the calamity? Now it would seem that it was just a rumor. Who could possibly block a Sun God? Ch. Long Fei, it's time for your death. No matter if you are the real Long Fei or the fake Long Fei, you will definitely die under the Sun God. The surrounding people said. So noisy. A bunch of trash who like to kneel and lick my ass. Now that you've seen an old fart come out, you want to throw yourself over again? Long Fei sneered. He then punched out without the slightest pause. Boom. 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 Ah. No. You. A series of miserable shrieks sounded out, and instantly, the head of the bloodthirsty Peacock Mountain was covered in blood. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing a clan expert, Flame Ancestor. You have received 12 million experience points. Holy Source points, 120000. Striking value, 1 point. Ding. The system's voice also appeared. Instantly killing no one, gave Long Fei over 600 million experience. Following that, Long Fei's gaze fell on the void. His eyes twinkled. The corners of his mouth curled up as he swallowed hard. Boss. The first boss of the sun god world. He finally appeared. Golden light flashed as it filled the void. How dare you? You dare to kill in front of me? You are too arrogant. In the middle of the air, the Peacock King spoke with a cold voice, exuding a killing intent. I am a savage, born with such a temper. What can you do? I can't accept it. Looking up. Non-existent. Not to mention that it was useless to admit defeat in front of a boss. You still dare to provoke me? Divine rainbow light, purge the heaven and earth, refine. The Peacock King was infuriated, immediately erupting with power. 7-colored profound light immediately fell from the sky and rushed towards Long Fei in unison. In that moment, Long Fei directly stepped forward. 5 elements sword demon, attack. Seal of the Akalantha, Buddha palm. At this time, without holding anything back, Long Fei instantly threw out all of his methods. Rumble. Instantly, the sky darkened, and the 7-colored profound light and Long Fei's attack power instantly clashed together. The violent energy caused the sky to change color. The raging sword chi was incomparably sharp, as it erupted in the entire primal chaos mountain. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Rumble. It was as if the sky had collapsed and the earth caved in. The entire Peacock Mountain started to crumble from the violent power. The people on the peacock hurriedly ran away, their faces completely pale. Only Aoya remained motionless. On the contrary, he reversed the course and came to Long Fei's side. Hubby, this 7-colored light beam is useful to me. I feel that if I refine it, my strength might increase by another step. His eyes were filled with anticipation. Hearing that, Long Fei's suspicions were confirmed, and his gaze turned, his killing intent grew even stronger. All right, then husband will go and blow him up. As he spoke, Long Fei shot straight into the sky. With a single leap, he leapt 1,000 feet into the air and directly rushed into the clouds. At the same time, the complete image of the Peacock King appeared in Long Fei's eyes. It was an incomparably enormous peacock. As it opened its tail feathers, the sky became dazzling and it covered the entire sky. The boss attributes were also revealed. Health, 80 billion skills, 7-colored mystic light description, 7-colored profound light has washed the world. This is a technique of the ancient world. Seeing this, Long Fei's heart thumped wildly. He had never expected that the Peacock King of the Sun God world would be able to control the power of the great desolate world. Explode, it's definitely going to explode. Mother *K, the 7-colored profound light is trying to make Aoya become a god. Long Fei's eyes congealed, his thoughts became firm. After which, he gathered all his strength into a single fist and punched towards the Peacock King. From start to finish, Long Fei's strongest point was not his cultivation. From start to finish, Long Fei's strongest point was not his cultivation. It was the power of the fleshly body. It was like a bug given by the system after entering the world of the sun god. Invincible. This kind of invincibility was a condescending attitude. Even if it was the Peacock King in front of him, this was a sun god level boss. Long Fei still felt that his own body could withstand it, and could even destroy his opponent. The punch rumbled. The world shook. Long Fei's silhouette disappeared like a rocket, disappearing without a trace as he rushed towards the Peacock King's position in the air. Rumble. Swish. It was also at this moment that the Peacock King changed its form. The Peacock King spread its wings and locked onto the void. Shua shua shua. An instant ago, tens of thousands of profound lights burst forth, containing an endless amount of killing intent, causing even the sky to be covered. You overestimate yourself. If you can't become a sun god, you'll become an ant in the end. Today, I'll let you know what it means that the sun god cannot be insulted. The Peacock King's voice resounded through the skies. As the profound light shot out, the heaven and earth rose high, and all things fell silent. It was as if the profound light could wash away the world, slashing everything in its path without making a sound. Divine light filled the sky, Shua. The voice of the Peacock King was like a supreme ruler, controlling everything in its path. Instantly, countless profound lights landed on Long Fei's body. Fut. Puff. Long Fei maintained his horizontal charge forward, his eyes filled with determination. He did not dodge the Peacock King's strength at all. It wasn't impossible. It's not necessary. Long Fei's goal was to kill the Peacock King. Furthermore, Long Fei had a feeling in his heart. Even if it was a boss, he wouldn't be able to kill it. His physical strength was invincible. Moreover, he was also waiting. After waiting for the Peacock King's strength, he followed through with a critical strike. Right now, the entire sky was filled with 7-colored profound light, and even with his strength, he was unable to break through it. Boop! In an instant, Long Fei's figure was drowned by the divine light that filled the sky. Long Fei, who was in the center of the profound light, slightly opened his arms. As if being pierced by 10,000 arrows, one profound light after another instantly penetrated Long Fei's body. Cough. Long Fei's heart shook, and a heart-wrenching pain appeared. When the profound light entered his body, it was truly like washing and wreaking havoc within his body. As a streak of profound light swept past, Long Fei felt a strand of energy wildly rampaging through his meridians. He was simply unable to control it. In merely an instant, Long Fei felt an uncontrollable pain engulfing his body. Moreover, this was still not the end. What made Long Fei even more moved was that, when this power came one after another, the pain it brought was multiplied by another. It was simply not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. Damn it, I'm finished. Where is that invincible fleshly body? System, what happened to the overall upgrade? What about the planar bug? Is this the illusion you gave me? Long Fei secretly clicked his tongue in his heart, as if he regretted overestimating himself. But at this moment, ding, player's body has encountered an unknown force attack, strength splitting and reassembly. It takes a minute. The system's voice suddenly appeared. Long Fei was startled. Decomposition and reorganization? F***ck, you think you're so awesome? But it will be a little tricky in a minute. Forget it, even this level of damage will not kill me within a minute. Long Fei immediately gave up resisting as he immersed his consciousness into his body to observe the transformation. At this moment, on the Peacock Mountain below, the spectators stared at the empty skies. Has he become an idiot? He actually relied on his physical body to resist the Peacock King's sacred art? He's not just stupid, he's clearly courting death. A young god's divine ability and you want to use your body to resist it. Did he think of him as Master Yi Zhu? The fleshly body legend becomes the origin. He's definitely going to die. This is what happens when he's arrogant. Everyone spoke coldly, looking at Long Fei's figure in the air, their eyes cold. They wished that Long Fei would die a graveless death. Long Fei was too arrogant, he did not even put them in his eyes at all. Therefore, the more danger Long Fei was in, the more they were pleased with themselves. Die. To make him act so arrogantly, to think so highly of himself. Even if it really is Long Fei, he will certainly die. Since I'm going to die, I might as well make use of this and throw it directly to the Central Imperial Court. Maybe I can even get some rewards. Everyone had a sinister look on their faces. The corners of his mouth were cold. Some of them even turned to look at Aoya. It was all bad. But right at this moment, Aoya suddenly struck out with her sword. Other than sword intent, there was only sword intent. Unparalleled sword intent, it was as if his entire person was a sword. Whoever moves dies, Aoya said coldly. She wasn't worried about Long Fei. He knew that Long Fei would never do something that he was not confident of. Otherwise, the first sentence she would say would definitely be for him to leave first. And since Long Fei allowed him to stay here, it proved that Long Fei had 100% certainty of success. All she could do was protect herself well. Ha ha ha, who knows who's going to die? With just you. He has only experienced a few lightning tribulations and his body is at the martial saint realm. How dare he brazenly boast about such a trashy cultivation? It just so happens that I have to kill you and wait for the Peacock King to kill Long Fei. Two birds with one stone. While they were talking, a person walked out from the crowd. It was precisely the human powerhouse who had hooted before about helping Long Fei destroy the peacock race. At this time, in the distant space, Long Fei's eyes were incomparably cold. He had to bear the brushes of the Peacock King's divine light. But his mind still worried about Aoya. Seeing that someone wanted to make a move, the killing intent in his heart instantly exploded. Truly courting death, Long Fei said coldly, then retracted his gaze. 1 minute was over. He could feel that his physical body had already become immune to the Peacock King's power. In fact, the change in his physical strength this time around was completely directed at the Peacock King. Haha, awesome. This is awesome. The strength of this body is simply heaven-defying. Infinite change, unlimited potential. No matter who you face, you will be able to transform into an invincible body. Haha, Emperor Xian, Master of Primal Chaos, Mother is criticizing me for not being able to beat anyone else. Long Fei's heart surged, and he suddenly raised his head. And then, in the instant that he turned to look at the Peacock King, he could even feel that every drop of blood in his body was emitting endless power. Within his body, his limbs, bones, and acupoints were surging. Finally, it was like his body was being broken down and reassembled into a group. The right fist was in a most suitable state for combat. And it was also at this time that the endless profound light of heaven and earth finally entered its final state. It began to slowly disappear. Even if the Peacock King was a young god, his powers were not limitless. The instant the endless profound light disappeared, Long Fei's voice silently came out from within. Sun God? It's not that bad. I thought you were too awesome, but I didn't expect that not even a layer of my skin had been washed away. Spicy chicken. After you finish attacking, it's your turn. Invincible punch. Break. The fist shadows were like shuttles, containing the force of creation of heaven and earth. The fist shadows were like shuttles, containing the force of creation of heaven and earth. The reason why Long Fei dared to say that he was invincible. It was precisely because of this power that was aimed at the Peacock King. This kind of power, other than good fortune, could not be better described by Long Fei. This punch of his spanned a distance of 10,000 miles, landing directly on the Peacock King. Whiz. In the blink of an eye, the Peacock King had locked its wings. Pieces of peacock feathers began to wither, trembling without any pattern. Then, pieces of feathers began to fall into the void. Puff. Hualala. Suddenly, the sky was dyed with blood. It was like the Milky Way was hanging upside down, and waves of blood were surging in the sky. No, you can't. I am the Sun God, I am invincible in this world. How is your strength possible? The Peacock King was drenched in blood, its eyes filled with disbelief. Ha! Long Fei sneered. There was nothing unexpected about this result. The moment the transformation of his physical body ended, this conclusion had already been decided. His fist was unrivaled, killing all the heavens. So what if it's the Sun God? You think the young god is awesome? You can act so recklessly just like that. Long Fei retorted. His face was full of mockery. Not all young gods were invincible. If they were any of the more established existences, Long Fei wouldn't dare to be so arrogant. However, the Peacock King didn't seem to exist at all. And this era was not the generation of the sun god world that he was familiar with. Furthermore, he had destroyed the god of boundary of the young god realm when he was only at the second level of the ancient era's supreme elder. The god of boundary might not be the world's most powerful powerhouse, but it was definitely not something that an ordinary sun god could compare with. But now, even though his skill had disappeared and his power had frozen temporarily, his cultivation was still there. In addition to his heaven-defying physical body, there was nothing to fear from a mere sun god. It doesn't exist. Even if it's the sun god who acts like a baby in front of this old man, only death awaits him. Invincible punch, chop. Long Fei concentrated once again, and in the time it took to turn around, he threw out a punch. Boom. The sound of debris exploding filled the air. In the blink of an eye, the Peacock King's body exploded from the punch. Blood and flesh flew everywhere. Large swathes of peacock feathers lost all of their spirituality and fell into the air. No, you can't kill me. The sun god is invincible. Long Fei, right now, the entire young god realm is extremely weak. If you kill me, the entire young god realm will get closer and closer to destruction. I am of use. Keeping me here will ensure that I will be able to preserve even more of the young god realm's strength. The Peacock King roared in rage. And his words also stunned Long Fei. He never would have thought that there was a secret hidden within it. Fuck, annihilate the world. Could this be the young god realm's ultimate mission? Long Fei was startled. However, the system did not trigger it, nor did it make any changes. Not a single sound could be heard. Long Fei's heart sank, feeling somewhat disappointed. But in a moment, Long Fei turned back. One had to know that he had brought a quest with him, and the rewards for the quest were incomparably generous. Long Fei was naturally clear on the principle of being greedy but not rotten. In this young god realm, any one of these demon beasts could give a rich amount of experience. If they really triggered some kind of mission, they would definitely be in great danger. Furthermore, Long Fei had never been a cautious person. In Long Fei's eyes, the role of a boss was only used for killing. Moreover, what good was a boss that could be easily killed by him? Thinking about it, Long Fei did not hesitate at all. He struck out with his backhand again. Rumble, rumble, rumble. If the young god realm needs an existence like you to protect it when the time comes, then it won't be too far off from the realm of destruction. So, your excuse is not valid. I don't accept it. Die. Long Fei said coldly. His words were cold and merciless. There was no emotion on his face, nor was there any hesitation. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Rumble, rumble, rumble. With a single punch, the so-called Peacock King was beheaded by Long Fei with a single punch, disappearing without a trace. In an instant, divine blood filled the sky. In mid-air, the entire world began to rumble, and layers of blood clouds filled the air, along with an endless sense of grief. It was as if he were mourning the death of a sun god. At the same time, the entire mountain of the other shore was alarmed. As for the remaining 7 legacy demons, they watched the descent of the god blood from Mount Peacock, and their sorrowful wails continued to echo out. They could already guess what had happened. The god is dead. Impossible. Who could it be? How could he possibly possess the power to kill gods? Heavens! He's trying to exterminate the legacy of the demon clan. Is he not afraid of Yi Zhu crossing time and space to be punished? In the blink of an eye, the entire mountain was filled with boundless terror. On the contrary, on Golden Spider Mountain, the Sky Spirit and Lin Yosheng's hands paused. Ha ha ha, boss is awesome. Even the Peacock Mountain's deity was beheaded. F***CK, we can't let boss down. As they spoke, the two of them charged forward to attack. The entire Golden Spider Mountain was suddenly thrown into chaos. On the mountain peak, Liu Luosh's eyes were filled with tears. Looking at the Sky Spirit, Lin Yusheng and the leading Chen Tianfei, he clenched his fists. The same scene happened on Heavenly Serpent Mountain. Li Yuanba and Li Wuxin were even more furious and violent. Massacre. Almost every time he attacked, one of the Heavenly Serpents would be torn apart. In an instant, the entire Heavenly Serpent Mountain turned into a bloody mess. The scene turned back to Peacock Mountain. It was also at this time that the person below also pierced through his weak point and killed him with a single sword strike under the effect of the profound mysteries of the Oya sword. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing the Peacock King. The reward is 300 million experience points, 300,000 holy source points, and 1 striking value point. Ding! Congratulations player on obtaining Rainbow Godly Feather. Ding! Congratulations player on obtaining Peacock Fairy Blood Vein. Ding! Congratulations player for obtaining 5 Elements Gobbledegook. System timely notification. Long Fei's heart was moved. Looking at the item that dropped, his heart was filled with anticipation. Gobbledegook? There are Gobbledegook here too? Long Fei was startled. But he also knew that this kind of Gobbledegook was on a completely different level from the power that he had previously cultivated. This is the true skill of Lucky Xian. However, it's not enough. System, Berserk. Long Fei said. This was, after all, a Sun God stage boss. Long Fei did not believe it. Ding! Striking value released. Ding! Congratulations player for obtaining the power of Young God's perception. Ding! Congratulations player for obtaining the Haoyuan Heavenly Jewel. Under striking value, the system released another 2 items, but this time, the level increased even further. He even dropped the Haoyuan Heavenly Jewel. It seems like the Peacock King is really poor, and there's no way for him to get anything else. Long Fei secretly cursed in his heart. No longer expecting. He turned around and descended upon Peacock Mountain. And at this very moment, the entire Peacock Mountain had already become his home ground. Just Oya alone was enough to fend for herself. It intimidated the entire Peacock Mountain. It wasn't just talk of who moved and who died. The bloody light under the swords became a deterrent to their souls. No one dared to move even an inch. And following Long Fei's descent, every one of their faces were filled with even more fear. Before, when the divine blood filled the skies, the heavens and earth wailed in grief. They already knew that the Peacock King and the Sun God had been killed by Long Fei. Yang God Realm, Central Holy Court. Yang God Realm, Central Holy Court. It was dazzling in gold and jade, as if it was a fairyland. A trace of rage suddenly burst forth from it. Rumble, rumble, rumble. A layer of clouds fell, and the crane killed itself. The goddess of Peacock Mountain has died. What happened in the midst of all these things? Could it be that the matter that Master Yi predicted has already happened? In the sacred court, under the emperor's robes, the leader of the sacred court, Hong Qi-Tian, looked in the direction of the Peacock Mountain with a dark expression. In the endless darkness of an unknown land. TSK, God has finally died. The world is going to change, and I am going to be born. The fleshly body is a ship, the soul is a sail. In this life, only I am able to sail across the river. At another location. The cold wind howled, the world was filled with danger. Above him was the endless heavens, and below him was the endless abyss. A cliff that separated heaven and earth. Hong and Autumn Leaf, enough. Isn't it just peeping at you taking a bath? Then, I accidentally let you dissipate a bit of my chi flow and devour a bit of it. Is there a need to be like this? 1,000 kilometers of chase. A figure dressed in green was panting heavily. Long Fei, you bastard. In short, just you wait. As long as this princess does not walk the path of a Dao, I will absolutely not allow you to become a sun god. Hong Yi said. Long Fei trembled slightly, with a helpless look on his face. However, suddenly, when he looked to the sky and saw the rumbling sounds, he revealed a joyous expression. Haha, Hong Chioye, there are some things that you don't know about, but the changes in the world right now have explained everything. The sun god isn't invincible. Besides, it won't be long before you know that he's the one you're really waiting for. As Long Fei said that, his gaze turned slightly. Hong Chioye disapproved and drew his sword. Long Fei's expression changed, and he turned to leave. Then he looked at Peacock Mountain. After going berserk with the Peacock King, Long Fei's gaze swept across the group sinisterly. Prepare to rule the world and command its people. But suddenly, an indescribable aura shook. Achoo! All of a sudden, he was no longer in his original state. Damn, who the hell is scolding me behind my back again? Why does it feel like I'm the one in the dark? Long Fei thought. In the blink of an eye, he arrived beside Aoya. If you don't want to die, then scram. Don't be AF * King eyesore in front of lousy. Long Fei's aura changed, and became incomparably cold. Su su su. In the blink of an eye, one figure after another tumbled down the mountain. Right, scram. They definitely would not give Long Fei the slightest chance to cause trouble. Gulp. Gulp. He immediately rolled down. Long Fei was startled, but he sneered in his heart. Needless to say, this group of people had let Long Fei witness the true meaning of the phrase to be invincible without shame. Long Fei was too lazy to waste his time. As for experience, Long Fei did not care anymore. The world of the sun god was full of treasures. This little bit of experience, it didn't even matter if it was worth it. In contrast, the current mountain of the other shore was the crux of the matter. Wifey, the 7-colored divine feathers that you mentioned just now should be the Peacock King's 7-colored divine feathers. Go ahead and bind it. Long Fei said. As he spoke, he tossed the 7-colored divine feathers to Aoya. Aoya's eyes released a bright light, looking at Long Fei lovingly, her eyes filled with anticipation. Long Fei chuckled, and didn't say anything more. Aoya didn't act pretentious. After receiving the pill, she immediately began refining it. As for Long Fei, he immediately activated the system and started cultivating the 5 elements gobbledygook. Ding! Congratulations player on successfully cultivating it. 5 elements gobbledygook, supplementary skill, able to unleash 5 elements sword demon, its power increases exponentially, able to engulf the world for battle. This was within Long Fei's expectations. It's more or less my reward. Now we just have to wait for Oya to succeed in her training. There was also anticipation in Long Fei's eyes. He even hoped that Aoya wouldn't directly become a god. At this moment, a sudden change occurred. Aoya's body suddenly emitted an extremely unstable aura. 7-colored profound light burst out from his body. However, it had already become a sword light. The sword light was jagged as it struck against the heavens and the earth. He swept through the world as if he was aimless. There was also an extremely painful look of deep affection on Aoya's face. It was as if she couldn't suppress this power at all. Long Fei was startled, but immediately made a decision. He threw the peacock blood vein directly into Aoya's body, and even squeezed out his own spirit blood. Boop! With a loud bang, a ray of light burst out from Aoya's position. Endless rays of light were like swords that swept across the sky in an instant. It was incomparably savage. No matter if it was the aura of strength or the power of damage, the Peacock King's strength could no longer be compared to before. Long Fei's eyes were shining, as he had already guessed that this must be related to his spirit blood. Before, in another plane, it had already been proven countless of times that his spirit blood was comparable to a heaven and earth treasure, and even unique and unrivaled. Now that it had undergone mutation and upgrade, it was even more berserk. Faintly, Long Fei had a kind of anticipation. It was also at this moment that lightning and thunder suddenly flashed between the heaven and earth. An illusory bridge appeared between the heavens and earth. And then, he descended upon Peacock Mountain. The other side of the bridge. Is he really about to become a sun god? Long Fei's eyes shook as he looked at Aoya in surprise. Ha ha ha, awesome, awesome. My woman became a young god. Aren't you going to do whatever you want with this world of the sun god? Ha ha. Long Fei laughed crazily, he was extremely excited. He knew that the other side of the bridge had definitely been summoned by Oya. While he was thinking, the profound light on Aoya's body disappeared. Oya immediately stood up. Hubby, I'm going. Oya said, her face firm. Ian, your husband believes in you. Go, break the other side of the bridge. Long Fei said softly. Aoya nodded heavily. Then he took a step forward and instantly stepped on the other side of the bridge. Then, 1 step, 2 steps. Every step he took, countless lightning bolts descended from the skies, smashing directly against the bridge. As for Aoya, she slashed out with her sword. Instantly, a profound light flashed and the lightning tribulation dissipated. I will allow you to do as you wish with a single sword strike. Incomparable berserk, invincible stance. Long Fei watched from below with an itching heart, but he still endured the temptation. Because this was Oya's own path. Moreover, he also believed that Oya would definitely reach the end. As time passed, Aoya advanced step by step. The entire other side of the bridge had already reached its end. They looked down on him. It was unstoppable. Even the power of the tribulation could only be used as a testing stone for the sword beneath the Oya sword. His coming. Long Fei's eyes were filled with gratification as he watched Aoya take her final step onto the other side of the bridge. Zhong Xian was moved. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The sky and the earth shook endlessly as the red light descended. It was as if they were congratulating him. Su su su. Endless multicolored light that contained the power of the heavens and earth enveloped Aoya's body, baptizing her true body. At this moment, the aura from Aoya's body intensified. It was like a qualitative change, rising to a whole new level. It was at this point that the entire mountain began to shake. One figure after another appeared out of thin air and descended upon the area, sweeping over everything in a berserk manner. Long Fei's eyes turned cold. Haha, I really didn't expect that there would be a person who would become a sun god on the other side of the mountain. Let's go one step further and snatch the sun god's fruit. The power of the baptism of heaven and earth is not over yet. It would be best to make a move at this time. One voice after another sounded out in an incomparably rough and greedy manner, sweeping out from the void towards Aoya's location. C4211. C4211 1 second, remember, pen, interesting pavilion www.bbeak.com, read for free. In that moment, a cold aura burst forth from Long Fei's eyes. Killing intent surge. Stealing a Dao fruit was nothing out of the ordinary. But now, they had actually turned their attention to Oya. There is no redemption. 7 people, a total of 7 people, had actually joined hands to snipe at Aoya. I can't endure it, I can't tolerate it on a cliff. A group of shameless beasts actually dare to hit my woman. Today, I will make all of you die without a burial ground. Long Fei was furious. Without any hesitation, he formed a seal and attacked. Rumble. The Buddha seal descended from the sky, and directly landed in front of one person. This person's body was glowing with a golden light. Not only was it the boss light, but it also had its own strength. The Golden Spider King. Scram. The Golden Spider King was furious. He knew that Long Fei was extraordinary and that he had killed the Peacock King. But now, in front of the sun god Dao fruit, nothing could stop his ambitions. Shua shua shua. Golden spider silk began to spew out from the Gold Pearl King's mouth. It instantly became a net. Moreover, it was the sky-covering net. Crash. Asterisk in an instant, a huge net spread out, enveloping even Long Fei's figure within. Mph. So what if your body is strong? Even if it is the sun god, his spirit will still be trapped. Just obediently watch as Laozi shares your woman's Dao fruit. Not only the Dao fruit, I also want your woman. The Golden Spider King was extremely arrogant, provoking Long Fei with his words. In his eyes, as long as Long Fei was sealed within the sky-covering net, he would be safe and sound. However, he was wrong. Furthermore, calling someone wrong was definitely wrong. Long Fei, who was tied up, reacted instantly. Ding, player's body has changed, this time requires 30 seconds. Unexpectedly, it was also within his expectations. Long Fei's face darkened, as he counted down in his heart. The joy from Oya's breakthrough vanished. At this moment, there was only one thought in his mind. That would mean exploding. The 7 bosses in front of him had all died. No one could humiliate his woman. As time passed, the aura on Long Fei's body quietly changed. Last time, it was a minute. This time, it's 30 seconds. It can be seen that the power of the physical body can also be upgraded. As Long Fei thought about this, his eyes suddenly opened. 30 seconds had passed. Then, his hands moved. SSSSI. Asterisk. The sky-covering net was instantly torn from the middle by Long Fei, without any obstructions. Old fart, if you have nothing better to do, don't bother weaving the web, just come here to die. Die. In a moment of carelessness, Long Fei's body flashed as he arrived in front of the Golden Spider King in a blink of an eye. Then, a punch was fired out. No. The Golden Spider King's eyes were filled with fear and unwillingness. It had never thought that Long Fei would be able to struggle out of its control. But Long Fei would not give him more time to think. With just one punch, he was already invincible. Boom. Asterisk. With a single punch, the Golden Spider King's body was struck out by Long Fei. On its huge body, there was a large bloody hole. As the divine blood rained down, the heaven and earth became dark. Yet another young god appeared. The dead vanished. First kill. Long Fei sneered, and said coldly. Right now, he wasn't in the mood to pay attention to what the boss would drop. Because there were still 6 more. Ding. Congratulations player Long Fei for triggering task, 7 killing god. Quest level, SS quest time, 3 minutes task reward, 10 billion experience points, a special reward from the system. Mission penalty, failure in death. Just as Long Fei was about to change his target, the system's voice suddenly came into his ears. Long Fei was startled. He never thought that the system quest would actually be triggered. The 7 deadly souls. They just so happened to be 7 young gods of the demi-humans, not one more nor less. Accept the mission. Long Fei said. Regardless if it was a mission, Long Fei would not let these 7 people go. It could be said that this mission was entirely a benefit given by the system. Since that's the case, let's kill them then. The second, the Heavenly Serpent King. With his target locked on, Long Fei headed straight for the Sky Serpent King. In the distance, the Sky Serpent King similarly stopped in its tracks. Looking at the dead Golden Spider King, he turned around abruptly. He didn't dare to take the blow head-on. But how could Long Fei give him such an opportunity? Boom. Asterisk. One fist was invincible. It directly landed on the body of the Sky Serpent King. Whoosh. However, this punch did not deal any substantial damage to the Sky Serpent King. Long Fei was startled, then immediately remembered that the strength he had now was for the Golden Spider King. At the same time, the Heavenly Serpent King suddenly turned around. Ha ha ha, with this kind of power, I really don't know how a golden spider and a peacock could be killed by trash like you. The power of the mysterious heaven. Darkness descends. Annihilate. The Heavenly Serpent King finally made his move. In an instant, it was the inheritance power of the Heavenly Serpent lineage, the Dark Sky Record. Boom. Asterisk. Long Fei's body was instantly shrouded in endless darkness, and he was in unbearable pain. At the same time, his fleshly body began to transform. Ding. Player has received special strength attack. His body has begun to reform. This time, 10 seconds. The system's voice appeared. Long Fei felt that under the condition of recombination of his body and body, the Sky Snake King's power would be expelled. Instantly, all the discomfort disappeared without a trace. The so-called strength of the Sky Serpent King did not harm Long Fei in the slightest. Ding, body reconstruction completed. 10 seconds passed, and Long Fei's body instantly soared into the sky. The Heavenly Serpent King was originally immersed in his own power, and his heart was swelling up. Suddenly, he felt darkness in front of him, and when he raised his head, he saw Long Fei looking down at him from above, as if he was looking at an ant. At the same time, the chi that was being transmitted from Long Fei's body made the Heavenly Snake King's heart tremble. An uncontrollable feeling of uncontrollable emotions pressed down on his body. Those that weren't under his control immediately manifested their true forms, turning into a heavenly serpent. No, impossible. What kind of power is this? Who the hell are you? Your physical body. How is this possible? The strength of the body can even change. I don't believe it, I don't believe it. The Heavenly Serpent King was like a madman, shaking its body, wanting to leave. But Long Fei's fist had already descended with a loud bang. In an instant, His fist had blown the snake's neck apart. If you hit a snake 7 inches, you would definitely die. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The color of the sky and earth changed once again, becoming extremely gloomy, as if doomsday had arrived. The demonic lord of the heavenly serpent clan, the sun god, once again perished. Second kill. Next, Silver Shark King. Long Fei's gaze turned, and instantly locked onto a wisp of silver white in the sky. Whiz. Silver Shark King also noticed Long Fei's gaze and stopped moving. Kid, I am not someone they can compare to. My ancestor was the wife of Yi Zhu. If you know what's good for you, then leave. This king can give up on your wife's Dao fruit and can even retreat together with you. You and I, the Alliance, will rule the world together. Silver Shark King said indifferently. Long Fei's eyes moved, and he chuckled. Now you know how to move backstage? It's useless, but you have to remember, Hongyi is awesome, not you Silver Shark. This old man will do whatever he wants in the Sun God world. The world was unruly and unrestrained. The world was unruly and unrestrained. This was Long Fei's standard of conduct. Emperor Xian couldn't even make him bow his head. How could Silver Shark King make Long Fei be afraid? Just as he said. Hongyi was the awesome one. But now, it was no longer that era. Hongyi had long since gone to who knows which world to pursue the great Tao. Moreover, even if Hongyi really was still in this world, so what? Under the mission, one would either die or live. Or murder to become a demon. Either fail the box. Would Long Fei really do such a tragic thing as landing on a box? Impossible. Therefore, even if the Silver Shark King said break through the heavens, it wouldn't be of any use. At the same time, after Long Fei finished speaking, the expression of the Shark King opposite of him changed. He looked extremely embarrassed. So you're saying that you're forcing this king to fight to the death with you? Silver Shark King said, his eyes turning cold. Long Fei shook his head. The fish will die and the net will not break. You think too highly of yourself. If I want to kill you, I only need one punch. Long Fei said indifferently. At the same time, he was also waiting for something. He could feel that after experiencing 2 battles, his physical strength had become even more tyrannical. Not only did it shrink down to an alarming amount of time, it was also extremely terrifying. Moreover, he had just locked onto the Silver Shark King. His body had already begun reorganizing itself. Ding, detected special strength, starting to reform body. This time, 3 seconds. The system prompted. Long Fei remained calm and collected, but he was ecstatic. Damn, this is defying the heavens. The great Tao root is fusing with one's physical body. This is too impressive. Awesome. I'm just asking you guys, who else is there? Long Fei's heart was in a frenzy. He entered the countdown. Ding, body strength reconstruction completed. Instantly, Long Fei's aura changed. The power of his physical body surged as it condensed into a fist. Silver Shark King was filled with terror as he looked at Long Fei in disbelief. A moment ago, he didn't feel any sort of threat from Long Fei. The reason for their compromise was because Long Fei had killed a few of them too forcefully earlier. Therefore, the reason he had brought out his background was to stall for time. But unexpectedly, in an instant, Long Fei's body transformed and completely crushed him. His aura alone was enough to cause his blood to churn. He felt as if he were crawling, as if he were facing the might of heaven and earth. No. The Silver Shark King finally understood that, other than disbelief, it was madness. Your fleshly body. How can this be? How can your body surpass the sun gods, understand the nature of power, and transform at will? This is a standard that only Yi Zhu has. No, don't kill me. I was wrong. As long as you let me go, I am willing to be a servant or servant. Silver Shark King began to beg for mercy. Long Fei's strength made him feel incomparable terror. Even though he was already a sun god, he didn't dare to resist. But Long Fei was incomparably cold. Let him go. Impossible. The system quest had been triggered. If he didn't die, Long Fei would lose. Long Fei would definitely not do such a thing. With a quick thought, Long Fei focused both of his eyes and concentrated all of the power in his body into one punch. And then, he attacked brazenly. Boo! Silver Shark King's face was filled with unwillingness and regret. But at the same time, he was unwilling to accept his fate. He instantly transformed back into his original form and began to frantically flee. Silver-white color filled the air in an instant. It released countless runes, as if it was communicating with some mysterious existence. As usual, Long Fei punched out. It was invincible. But right at this moment, Long Fei's movements suddenly stopped. Inexplicably, a resistance came from the void. It was as if some supreme existence was using the same amount of power to fight him. In silence, Long Fei raised his head and saw an illusionary figure standing on top of the Silver Shark King's body. The figure pointed out with a single finger, slicing through heaven and earth. This was a pitilessly beautiful woman, aloof and unparalleled, like a flower of ice between the heavens and the earth. In that moment, Long Fei guessed the identity of the other party. Hong Yi's wife. The Silver Shark King of that era. You can't stop me. A dragon has a reverse scale. Touch it and you will die. My woman is my forbidden woman. Back then, I, Long Fei, was able to slaughter all the gods for you. If you stop me, I'll kill you. Long Fei stopped and said coldly. He did not know if the Silver Shark King's mysterious power could hear his words. But he did. He would never retreat. Even Hong Yi's woman was the same. This was because he was now in the world of the Sun God. This era was destined to tremble for him. Even if the Silver Shark King's trump card was Hong Yi, it would still be the same. To Long Fei's surprise, after he finished speaking, the woman on Silver Shark King's back started to slowly dissipate. No. Silver Shark King cried out in grief and panicked. It was like being abandoned. Long Fei let out a light snort, and the corner of his mouth carried a cold smile as his fist finally fell. Rumble. With one fist, he crossed thousands of miles of space and time, and instantly smashed into Silver Shark King's head. Explosion. In the distance, the several demon race young gods that were close to Aoya also stopped in their tracks. He looked incredulously at the void. Even the Silver Shark King is dead. If we go our separate ways, there will be no good outcome. It's terrible. We underestimated him. The only option now is to join forces and give up. Let's join forces and kill him. The few of them exchanged mental messages, their desires causing their hearts to go wild. Not only was it Euro's power, Long Fei had also made them filled with the desire to devour. Su Su Su. Instantly, the Black Wolf King, the Heavenly Eagle King, the White Ape King, and the Spirit Fox King joined forces. The four of them retreated instead of advancing, and then gathered around Long Fei. Long Fei was not afraid. Another kill. Four of them would be killed as well. The results were all the same. The only difference was that he had saved some events. Instantly, Long Fei's gaze moved as he locked onto Linghu King. Ding. Player's body is starting to reform. This reconstruction will take 3 seconds. Ding. Player's body is starting to reform. This reconstruction will take 5 seconds. Ding. Player's body is starting to reform. This reconstruction will take 8 seconds. Ding. Player's physical body has been reorganized. This book needs 30 seconds. At the same moment, the system's voice started to ring out incessantly. Long Fei's expression instantly froze. Immediately, his heart began to race. He's going against the heavens. He's really going against the heavens. Is this the power of the Great Way? Haha, the flower is already blooming. There's nothing you can't do. That's omnipotence. At this moment, the system was being reorganized 4 times. Each time, there was no change in one's physical strength. It was no longer the same as before, it was the power aimed at one person. This time, it was for the 4 of them. In other words, after his body was reorganized, Long Fei's physical strength would be invincible even when facing off against his master, the Sun God Demon King. Illusionary Flash. Great Spiritual Highland. Pagoda world. Good fortune gourd. At this moment, the 4 demon kings had already begun their attack. Violent space, an aura of endless killing spread out. Violent space, an aura of endless killing spread out. Every single one of the 4 great sun gods were the peak powerhouse of this world. Just one person was enough to dominate the world. However, it wasn't invincible. Otherwise, they wouldn't have to join hands at the same time. Because they were currently dealing with Long Fei. Long Fei's eyes turned cold. His eyes didn't change at all. So what if it was the 4 of them working together? Before this, he still needed to attack on his own. But now, their bodies had been split and reassembled 4 times in a row, and they had formed what was most suitable for the 4 of them. It was all aimed at him. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Rumble, rumble, rumble. It was also at this moment that the power of the 4 finally exploded. The endless void began to become blurry, as if an infinite number of illusory clones were separated with just a thought. It was hard to distinguish between the real and the fake, and it was waiting for the right time to make its move. This was the Spirit Fox King's technique, an illusory instant. In the blink of an eye, reality and falsehood intersected. In the blink of an eye, the fox-like shadows that filled the sky scratched their heads in a coquettish manner. In addition, the more you wear, the more exposed you will be. The human chest. A devastatingly beautiful woman. Little big brother, come on, let's play together. Big sister will take you to the heaven of absolute bliss. Suddenly, a figure appeared in front of Long Fei, and said while brimming with enticement. Long Fei's mind was in a state of turmoil, and his adrenal glands began to move crazily. His eyes began to blur as well. His hands couldn't help but want to hug the fox-like posture before him. Joy appeared in the eyes of the remaining 3 demon kings. The power in his hands surged. It started to crazily sweep towards Long Fei. It was also at this time that Linghu King, who was looking at Long Fei with his pig-like face, looked at him with even more contempt. Killing intent faintly burst out from his eyes, and soon after, countless figures started to gather towards him. Long Fei also started to move his hands and feet. TSK, TSK, that's great. Long Fei said to himself. Suddenly, Long Fei exerted force with his hands. Boom. A fist instantly pierced through the Soul King's body. Such a good chest, it's such a pity it exploded. No, I have to go to the Spirit Fox tribe and find 2 young girls with decent talent. No, it's because of the young fox. Long Fei said to himself. The blood dripped from the corner of Linghu King's mouth and his face was filled with unwillingness. He never would have thought that Long Fei was simply pretending to kill him with a single punch the moment his real body appeared. However, Long Fei remained calm. No matter how beautiful the spirit fox was, it had to be killed. Towards the person who wanted to kill him, even if she was as beautiful as a fairy, Long Fei would not spare him. Following that, Long Fei's gaze turned. The Iron Pagoda's commander seal appeared in his hand. Your Black Wolf lineage's inheritance holy artifact is in your daddy's hands. You, a toothless wild wolf, actually dares to be so impudent in front of me. Long Fei said coldly. Amongst all the demon kings, the one he cared least about was the Black Wolf King before him. A demon king who had even lost his inheritance, why would he care? Furthermore, with the Iron Pagoda's seal in his hands, he could completely disregard the Black Wolf King's divine yang ability. There was no need to care. Swish. Instantly, Long Fei's body advanced by leaps and bounds. In an instant, he charged into the midst of the pagoda world. Immediately, the entire pagoda region starts to rumble unceasingly. The killing aura that surpasses the heavens starts to surge, and one after another, the shadows of Azura demons start to roar. Long Fei did not care at all. In the instant the Azura demon rushed towards him, he waved the pagoda in his hand. Instantly, the entire world went silent. Long Fei was the supreme ruler of the entire world when he controlled the commander seal. At the same time, the face of the Black Wolf King in space was filled with shock. No matter what, he would never have thought that Long Fei possessed the Black Wolf lineage's inheritance in Jiang Grant's hands. With the martial seal in front of him, even if he had already become a sun god, he still had to lower his head. For a moment, the person who had kneeled in front of Long Fei while feeling humiliated and unresigned. It was as if it was driven by an instinct, and was not under his control at all. Long Fei's footsteps also began to walk towards the Black Wolf King. For the Black Wolf King, at this moment, it was a certain death situation. "My lord, please spare me. I was blind. It was my ambition. You have already taken control of the Commander Seal, and are the supreme ruler of my Black Wolf lineage. I am willing to submit." The Black Wolf King started to beg for mercy. In front of Long Fei, he had no power to resist at all. "Commander's command, take the blood vein away." Long Fei said coldly. It was impossible to let them go. The entire Black Wolf lineage didn't help him much. At most, Long Fei could let the Black Wolf lineage go. However, the Black Wolf King was a character in the quest and would definitely not be let off. Boo! Instantly, following Long Fei's command, the Black Wolf King's body suddenly collapsed. His entire body of Black Wolf blood vein was stripped of the pagoda's martial seal. His soul was also absorbed into the commander's seal. At this moment, the entire pagoda world also disappeared without a trace, and the world regained its clarity. Long Fei's gaze turned. He looked towards the remaining two demon kings. White Ape King and the Heavenly Eagle King. Giant Spirit Gale Force? Long Fei sneered. This is the White Ape King's method. As far as Long Fei knew, in Hong Yi's era, the White Ape King had also received an unparalleled inheritance. Giant spirit astral energy was obtained from the astral warring world. It was incomparably terrifying. This kind of power might be able to look down on the heavens and earth, looking down on everyone else. Unfortunately, my physical body is completely able to restrain me. Long Fei was just like that. Lion against rabbit, with all his strength. To be able to instantly kill them, he definitely wouldn't waste the second type of strength. Instantly, Long Fei's power condensed. One punch was an invincible will that filled the void. White Ape King clenched his teeth and instantly transformed. Demon Ox Power Fist. Boo! The power of this punch was incomparably vast, enough to shatter space itself. However, when the force neared Long Fei, it immediately disappeared, as if it had met its natural enemy. Demon Ox Power Fist, not bad. I'll take it. Long Fei said casually. He also punched out. Boom. The strength of two fists collided in midair, but in an instant, the power of the White Ape King was immediately dispersed, while Long Fei's strength directly rushed to the front of the White Ape King and punched on his head. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Bang. With a loud noise, White Ape King's huge body directly fell to the ground. In an instant, White Ape King's body turned into a stream of energy, sweeping across Peacock Mountain. It instantly smashed the entire Peacock Mountain in half. Countless lives had been lost, all of them turning into Long Fei's experience and striking value. And the White Ape King had also died. That was because even if the head of a sun god were to explode, it would undoubtedly die. In the blink of an eye, there was only one remaining existence in this world, the Heavenly Eagle King. At this moment, the Heavenly Eagle King had completely collapsed. In an instant, he soared into the sky and flapped his wings. Its speed was impossible to describe. In the blink of an eye, he had already torn open the void and fled far away. It was at this moment, however, that a streak of sword light suddenly flashed through the air, moving horizontally and horizontally. Ah! No! The Falcon King's miserable scream was immediately repelled by the original route, and it heavily landed in front of Long Fei. After which, Aoya's figure descended from the void. Her cultivation base was that of the sun god. Moreover, it was the young god who used the sword to prove his strength. His killing intent was unparalleled. Ha ha ha, good wife. Good job. Long Fei was overjoyed. With a cold glance, he saw that the Heavenly Eagle King had already been penetrated. With a casual movement, he sent a slap over. Explode for me. The punch landed. The punch landed. 7 monster kings and 7 young gods, instantly killed. Right at the instant when Long Fei's fist landed. The world suddenly turned dark and gloomy. A deep sense of sadness swept through the heavens and earth. Woo! A deep sense of grief and sorrow filled the heavens and earth with the sound of sobbing. It was as if all the living beings in the world were weeping and mourning for the fall of the sun god. Long Fei's eyes were indifferent. He raised his head and looked at the sky and the earth. Immediately, a cold light shot out in all directions. Immediately, the strength in his entire body began to change. His body was locked tightly. Endless fighting spirit grew in his blood. Ding, starting to reform body strength. This reconstruction will take 2 hours. The system be prepared. Long Fei's heart sank. In that moment, a vicious feeling grew in Long Fei's heart, as if he wanted to tear apart the heaven and earth. It had nothing to do with anything else. It was only because of this feeling of sorrow. From the Nantian region onwards, Long Fei had experienced countless times of jubilation and sorrow. He also did not see the pity of the heavens. And now, in this world of missions, after slaying just a few of the sun gods, the heaven and earth were in complete sorrow. This caused killing intent to burst out from Long Fei's heart. If the heavenly Tao is unfair, then your father will tear this sky apart. In addition, it wasn't impossible. Although the time it took to reform the body was a little long, Long Fei believed that after 2 hours, as long as it was completed, it would be reconstituted. Even on this day, he would have to lower his head and allow Long Fei to trample on him. However, at this moment, the wailing sounds that filled the sky disappeared, and the gloomy expression disappeared. In the blink of an eye, the sky turned clear. Long Fei focused his eyes. Hong Yi? Is that you? Long Fei's heart was moved. After this sky, there was definitely a ruler. With such a human form of retreat, Long Fei was even more determined to win. With this method, there was no need to think about it. Hong Yi had the greatest possibility. However, along with the quietness of the heaven and earth, Long Fei's mind also began to clear up. Forget it, we will meet again one day. Long Fei thought as he looked at the system. At the same time, Ding, congratulations on defeating the Golden Spider King. You have received 300 million experience points, 300,000 holy source points, and 1 striking value point. Ding. With 7 consecutive sounds, 7 demon kings of the sun god realm appeared at the same time. F***CK, why is it so darned? System, are you sure you don't want to play like this? It's a boss after all. Long Fei's mind was muddled. He never would have thought that the boss would become so worthless, even though he had given quite a bit of experience. However, was what he lacked the most experience in the world of the sun god? What he lacked were methods. What was missing was a divine treasure. Unfortunately, the system will not reply. The instant his striking value had accumulated to 100, Long Fei's heart sank. Striking value, release. Long Fei said in a serious tone. Of course, the activation this time was naturally for the 7 sun gods. Ding, congratulations to the player who has obtained the Mitn Great Net, the Golden Spider King's sun god's will. Ding, congratulations player on obtaining Black Sky Mantra, Heaven Serpent God's will. Ding, congratulations player for obtaining War God's Righteous Way Scripture, obtained Silver Shark King Young God's will. Ding, congratulations player for obtaining Divine Treasure Fortune Gourd, obtained the Divine Falcon King's Sun God's will. Ding, congratulations to player on obtaining Giant Spirit Aura Technique, you have obtained the White Ape King's Sun God's will. Ding, congratulations player for obtaining Mysterious Thousand Change Technique, obtained Spirit Fox, Sun God's will. The system's voice rang out 6 times in a row. This was true savagery. The corner of Long Fei's mouth was already twitching uncontrollably. Divine Treasure, Cultivation Technique. A huge explosion. His silent heart instantly burst with passion. Ha ha ha, this is 2F** King Great. Low investment, high return. System, please give me a dozen of these type of bosses. Long Fei said as he looked at the system interface again. Ding. Congratulations player for completing the 7 Slaughter Superguardly task. Quest evaluation, perfect SS grade. Ding. Congratulations player for obtaining the system reward, 10 billion experience, special reward, the method of casting the evacuation wheel. The system's voice sounded out. In an instant, Long Fei was no longer calm in his heart. The Great Wheel of Liberation. This was the Yang God world's supreme holy artifact. The king of holy artifact. It was rumored that the blacksmiths and Hong Yi had succeeded in forging together. God damn it, could it be that the Sun God world isn't just an avatar mission, but an even higher level mission? Instantly, Long Fei made a guess in his heart. If even the Wheel of Liberation had appeared, then the world of the Sun God definitely wouldn't be as simple as just becoming a Sun God. Hong Yi was someone who had transcended the boundaries of the Yang God. The great will of the heavens and earth was firm. The first person in all of history. Only such an existence would have the Great Wheel of Liberation. But now, the system had given him such a method of forging. Long Fei would never believe it if there was no follow-up story. On the contrary, it wasn't just a reward. It was just like a quest item in the game. Used to trigger the plot. Forget it. Why the F***ck does it matter so much? No matter what, I have to forge a big wheel of relief, and a part of it, what kind of bird is Emperor Xian? Long Fei thought, his eyes revealing a look of madness. At this moment, Oya walked over. Hubby, this world is so oppressive. It seems like there's an extremely powerful force approaching. I feel a weight on my shoulders. I want to protect this world. Oya said. Long Fei's heart trembled. The words that the Golden Spider King said once again entered his ears. World extermination, responsibility of the Sun God. Don't worry, it's fine. There's no need to worry. There's already a husband here. But now, my husband wants to go and level up as well. The whole of the mountain of the other shore is a natural experience dungeon. We can't let him go. Long Fei said with a smile. The smile was somewhat cruel, but his eyes were extremely clear. Keep your heart in place. In the next moment, Long Fei thought of something. Good fortune gourd, go. Dark sky dark art, pagoda law, go. War gods righteous Dao fist, attack. Long Fei's figure swept across the sky and quickly passed by. On every mountain, there was only one type of strength. However, this kind of power was enough to reap the harvest. Ah! Save me, spare me, don't, let me go. Miserable screams rose and fell unceasingly. Ding! The system's notification sound also rang out crazily at this moment. Within a few short minutes, he had already accumulated tens of billions of experience for Long Fei. Adding on his previous experience, his leveling limit had already been exceeded. However, there was no prompt from the system this time. No upgrades. F***ck, what's going on? Long Fei was confused. He immediately opened the system's interface. The EXP bar had already been filled, and there was even quite a bit of extra. Ding! Dimension limit. Player's experience will be accumulated. After returning to divine space, player can level up on their own. Instantly, Long Fei felt an urge to curse in his heart. Because of his invincible fleshly body, the power of his cultivation base had been restored, and he had unleashed quite a few techniques. My only hope is to level up. My face was all smiles, and my heart was full of complaint. System, you are awesome. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories,